This is Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Welcome to the traditional football party in Pasadena, California. The featured guests on this New Year's Day, the Iowa Hawkeyes and the UCLA Bruins. In Pasadena, California, after these messages from your local station.
Act 1 has now unfolded on this bowl day on NBC. Michigan rallies from a 14-3 deficit, then holds on to beat Nebraska 27-23. Garland Rivers intercepting Steve Taylor to close the game out for Michigan. Later tonight, the apparent battle for the #1 spot in the nation. Penn State versus Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. The Nittany Lions, with one of the nation's best defenses, unbeaten and ranked #1 in both polls. If they win tonight, the national championship definitely theirs, but the Sooners are favored to win. And with Tony Casillas and company, they have one of the best defenses in the country as well. A victory tonight could make them the national champions. But right now, it's the Rose Bowl, Iowa and UCLA. Let's go to Pasadena.
Pasadena, the famed Tournament of Roses was born before the turn of this century, and with time, the New Year's celebration grew to include the game of football. In 1927, NBC became part of the tradition, presenting the very first radio broadcast coast to coast. The announcer, Graham McNamee.
And now the National Broadcasting Company and associated radio stations ask you to just listen to the band for a few moments, because particularly this is the first time band music has been transmitted from the Pacific Coast to the Atlantic Coast.
In 1952, another landmark, the Rose Bowl was the occasion for NBC's first ever nationwide television broadcast in black and white as Illinois defeated Stanford. 1962, another milestone.
The following NBC sports program is brought to you in living color.
NBC's first national telecast in color featured Minnesota's victory over UCLA. And now, in the mid-'80s, images, memories of this classic are vivid and varied. Colors and emotions from this New Year's drama to be long remembered. Today, Iowa and UCLA renew this game's storied past. It's the 72nd Rose Bowl game. Join us now as NBC Sports presents the 1986 Rose Bowl Preview. And its grand history continues. The sun trying to burn through a morning and midday fog here in Pasadena, California. The UCLA Bruins, the champions of the Pacific 10, 2 plays shy of an unbeaten year themselves against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Their perfect season ruined on one rainy day in Columbus, Ohio, as they lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's hope this is the best of all, 86 and peaceful indeed.
Dick, it's great to be back with you and great to be here in the Rose Bowl. This is a game that brings us all to a time of new beginnings and special memories, and I think we're going to have a great football game as well.
Many feel it will be a high-scoring and close game. Iowa is favored. The Hawkeyes, ranked 3rd in the nation in the coaches' poll, they still have outside hopes of being a national champion.
I think that's one of their incentives, but mostly they'd like to erase the memories of a 28-0 loss. Hayden Fry has a better team here this year. They deserve to be favored, Dick.
And we're blessed with many All-Americans. We'll meet those featured performers in a moment. Well, it's testimony to a great season to appear in Pasadena on January 1st, and so it is for the Hawkeyes. And the Bruins, how'd they get here? Happy New Year, Bill McAtee.
And Happy New Year to you, Dick Enberg, Barbara as well, and Merlin and Susan. Both these teams had tough roads to get here. Iowa quarterback Chuck Long had a chance to turn pro. He turned down that chance. He is back. But one of his big concerns was that of injuries.
The only doubt I had for playing 5th year was the injury situation. I think the whole time I wanted to come back to school and play another year, but the injury situation, football being such a contact sport and a lot of people getting hurt, that was really the only thing holding me from coming back to school and going professional.
A $1 million insurance policy against injury alleviated those concerns, and Chuck Long was back. The Hawkeye offense rolled through their first 5 games, averaging 44 points, until the showdown with Michigan. It is tradition that one must get through the Wolverines and Ohio State to win the Big Ten. And it was the Iowa defense, with consensus All-American Larry Station, that grabbed the limelight, limiting Michigan to 182 yards. The game rested on the toe of walk-on kicker Rob Hoatland, who kicked 4 field goals, including the game winner with 7 seconds left. The Hawkeyes were a unanimous choice for number 1, but still had to face Ohio State. That meeting came 2 weeks after Michigan in the rain in Columbus. There, Iowa turned the ball over 5 times. Ohio State used those mistakes, and Chuck Long's dream of an unbeaten season washed away, 22-13. Some questioned if the loss and dropping in the polls would take the momentum away from Iowa. The Hawkeyes responded, trouncing Illinois and again in the rain, winning at Purdue on Hoatland's field goal with 1:08 left. A victory a week later against Minnesota, coupled with the 27-24 win over Purdue, and Iowa was in the Rose Bowl. UCLA's season began against last year's national champions Brigham Young. Gaston Green, who rushed for 144 yards in last year's Fiesta Bowl, again served notice. The Bruins showed the extent of their depth at running back as David Greenwood led UCLA with 71 yards, while timely defense led the Bruins to a 27-24 win over BYU to start the season. The following week, the Bruins established what would become a team trademark, the comeback. Again, with a fine array of running backs led by Gaston Green with 194 yards, UCLA came from 16 points down to tie Tennessee.
The running back position at UCLA is the deepest and most talented position probably on our football team. We've been able to utilize the talents of all of the young people in our program, and I think they've all deserved to play.
UCLA went into the annual showdown with crosstown rival USC with a record of 8-1-1. And against the Trojans, UCLA kicker John Lee became the most prolific kicker in NCAA history with his 79th career field goal. The Bruins dominated the game, but untimely turnovers helped SC to a 17-13 victory. UCLA had to await the outcome of the Arizona State game.
I didn't think that the percentages would be in our favor, that we would be back in the Rose Bowl, because I thought it was unlikely that Arizona would beat Arizona State for the 4th year in a row. And Arizona State at a particular time was playing extremely well. So when we lost our final game of the season, I really didn't anticipate that the Arizona game played that night would turn out like it did.
A quick note now about John Lee. A year ago, he was named All-American. He was still a citizen of South Korea. This year, All-America had a different meaning. John Lee was sworn in as a U.S. citizen on November 20th. Richard?
All right, Bill, an All-American day for a true All-America. You see the bands, UCLA and Iowa, performing, entertaining this crowd of over 100,000. The Iowa Hawkeyes, number 3 in the nation, and the parade of those involved in the Tournament of Roses celebration this morning, the celebration of laughter. The president of the Tournament of Roses this year, Frederick D. Johnson Jr., and his wife Betty and family in a 1911 Pope Hartford Model W touring car. Only Harry Coyle would know about those things. The Grand Marshal, and it's a delight that it's a female representative this year, only the 5th time that a woman has been so honored, Irma Bombeck. She was raised in Big Ten country, Dayton, Ohio, and lives in Pac-10 country in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Author of 7 books, a television personality, her syndicated column read throughout the world. Irma Bombeck, congratulations. What a day this must have been for her, Merlin Olsen.
She's been so excited. I warned her about that parade. I said, that's a long time to sit in that car. She looks like she's held up well, and I'm sure she's having a great time.
Don't drink that second cup of coffee.
For sure.
And always part of this grand day, the Queen and her court, Queen Amy Lynn Richelieu. And ladies and gentlemen, down on the field, our national anthem. Tigers and the Big Ten drought. They've lost 10 of the last 11. We'll soon learn here in Pasadena. Moments away from the kickoff, the 72nd renewal of this famed Rose Bowl. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. 3 years ago, UCLA moved to the Rose Bowl from the Coliseum. This, then, is their home field as they play Iowa today. But, Merlin Olsen, when you listen to the crowd noise, you would think you were in Iowa City.
Got a lot of those Hawkeye fans here, and I remember when they were here before, and a very sad day for them. They made a lot of noise. They stayed all the way through that 28-0 drubbing, and they had an impact on the game. I was glad to have their folks here, too.
Speaking of having your folks together, UCLA starts with a handicap, or at least some would think that. David Norrie, for their primary starter throughout the course of the year at quarterback, is injured. It's a thigh injury. He will be replaced as the starter today by Matt Stevens, who started only one game all year.
Dick, the major impact of that change is that you're taking out of the lineup the man who really is probably more responsible than any other player on that UCLA roster for getting them here to the Rose Bowl. It's experience that you lose. Stevens is a fine quarterback, but he hasn't taken the snaps. He hasn't had the experience of hitting those receivers, reading the defenses during this season like Norrie has.
Well, Terry Donahue, the coach of the Bruins, has a lot of confidence in Stevens. He's not very tall. He's about 5'11". That's about a half foot shorter than Norrie. But the players say that Stevens has a stronger arm than Norrie. Now, as a defensive lineman, you know the other team in a big game is starting a new quarterback. What goes through your mind?
Well, you like that because that frees you up to get more aggressive. You're going to see more blitzes. You're going to see a lot of defenses dancing back and forth. They want to force him to read the defenses. I think it does give an advantage to the defense in that situation.
Well, Iowa, on the other hand, has the All-America quarterback this year in Chuck Long, who has had a sensational season, has broken all the Iowa records, most of the Big Ten marks.
Dick, they not only throw the football well, but they can come right back at you then and hit you up the middle with David Hudson. They can throw Ronnie Harmon at you. The scary thing about this Iowa defense is their incredible balance. Who in the world are you going to stop first? You're going to stop their All-American quarterback or the two great running backs?
Well, as a defensive player, then what do you think will be Donahue's game plan?
I think he's got to try and force Long, get after Long, pressure on Long. I think that's number one.
Well, the two teams are ready to come on the field. We'll have that dramatic moment from Pasadena, California. Iowa, UCLA, ready to go.
This is Bob Costas at the Cotton Bowl. A fourth-quarter touchdown pass of 11 yards from Kevin Murray to Keith Woodside was part of Texas A&M's 36-16 win over Auburn. Bo Jackson carried 30 times for 127 yards, scored 2 touchdowns for Auburn, but they wind up 8-4. A&M, appearing in the Cotton Bowl for the first time in 18 years, finishes 10-2. Back to Pasadena.
Is the real stuff, friends. That is winter rye grass, and we've never seen the floor of the Rose Bowl in better condition. Now let's go in that direction to Bill McAtee.
All right, Dick, I spoke with David Norrie a few moments ago, the UCLA quarterback. He said his leg feels a lot better today, and he says he does expect to play. He says it doesn't bother him too much when he goes down the line as he would in an option or as a scrambling quarterback in the backfield. But he says it does bother him when he goes flat out. We'll see, and he also says he expects UCLA to open up with a short pass. Back upstairs.
So the Bruins are first on the field. And Terry Donahue, their 41-year-old coach, 1985 was a good year for him. He became the winningest coach in UCLA football history. And back in the Rose Bowl. He has been here as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach, and now the Hawkeyes of Hayden Fry are ready to take the field. And you'll hear a mighty roar from those clad in yellow and black. And as you look over this giant oval, those Hawkeye fans are everywhere. They expect something like 25,000 here from the state of Iowa, those who graduated from that fine institution.
You can almost feel the energy. Those youngsters want to get out on that field, Dick. They'll turn them loose in a minute.
Perky, their mascot, ready to choreograph the entrance, and here comes.
Look out! Here they come.
56 years of age. We told you Donahue is the winningest coach in UCLA history. At this moment, Hayden Fry is tied as the Hawkeyes' all-time winning coach with the great Forrest Evashevski, who took two Iowa teams to Rose Bowl wins in 57 and 59. The captains are at midfield for the toss of the coin.
Iowa won the toss, will defer and kick.
Iowa defers and kicks the ball away. They want their defense on the field first. An interesting choice by Hayden Fry.
Perhaps with Matt Stevens starting and not having that experience, they're going to put the pressure on the quarterback Stevens right from the opening bell. Frederick Johnson III, the son of the Tournament of Roses president, was involved in the flip of the coin. That brings back some fond memories for you, Merlin Olsen.
Sure does. My son Nathan got a chance to do that the year I was the Grand Marshal. I think one of the most exciting moments of his life.
And for these two gentlemen, the pressures in part of a regular season are all forgotten. They've done that part of the job. And now Hayden Fry says, last time I was just happy to get to the Rose Bowl. I'm not a happy man yet.
One of the things he's done is to put his team on a very strict regiment out here. They have missed a lot of the fun of this trip, and they have concentrated on football. They want to win this football game. They really feel they have a mission here representing the Big Ten. UCLA, on the other hand, open and easy. Donahue just kind of relaxed. We'll see how those two differing styles have affected the performance of these teams today.
A major difference in the makeup of the two teams. This is a very experienced Iowa team, senior dominated. It's a young, comparatively, UCLA club. First 13 games, it was all Big Ten. People wondered if it was a mistake getting these two conferences together. Big Ten, 12 out of 13. Now it has turned around, and the Big Ten fans are hungry for a win as the Pac-10 has lost only one of the last 11.
Dick, as I watched, that's Houtland, Rob Houtland teeing that ball up. He hasn't kicked off since the end of the third game of the season. They scored so many points, he had to kick so much in those first three games that he strained the muscle in his leg. He's now back, he's healthy, he's going to kick it off.
Darrell Henley and Danny Thompson are deep for UCLA. Houtland kicking. Marv Cook had done much of the kickoff duties in the latter half of the year for the Hawkeyes. These fans on their feet, and another dramatic delay. Iowa's only lost to Ohio State in Columbus, 22-13. UCLA opening its campaign by knocking off defending champion BYU, 27-24. And it was Matt Stevens off the bench in relief of David Norrie, who won it for UCLA. We're underway for the 72nd time. Bringing it out is Henley. Darrell Henley almost spurting into the clears down at the 29-yard line. A 33-yard return. Here's the offense for the UCLA Bruins. David Norrie, number 9, will not start. Matt Stevens, a junior, will. He's at quarterback, where he threw only 41 passes this year. Gaston Green, the leading rusher, and a good one. And Melfar Jr. are the running backs. The wide receivers, they're fleet, and they've all capable of getting the long ball. Mike Sherrard, the all-time record holder. Carl Durrell caught 2 touchdowns the last Rose Bowl, and Derek Tennell is the tight end. Stevens to throw in his first play, has a man open. It's far. And that's a name, an All-American name in UCLA history. Melfar Jr. has almost a first down. It's a 9 or 10-yard gain. Here are the men in front of Matt Stevens. Starting from right tackle, John Kidder, 265 pounds. Jim McCullough, his 33rd consecutive start, weighs 262. Goebel at 260 pounds at center. Mike Hartmeyer, all Pac-10 at 265. And the left tackle is Robert Cox, a little guy, 258. They'll measure for the first down. Tom Quinn, a Big Ten official, with the honor today. He in the white hat, and it's that far shy of a first down.
Wynn, Coyne, Meese, Gallagher, Sherlock, Dorkowski, Armstead, Stewart, the men honored from the Big Ten and Pac-10, and indeed it's all of that. We talked to them yesterday, and they're as thrilled as the players to be
Their
here.
eyes were bright and shining, weren't they? Just short of that first down. They measured it. They'll take the sticks back to the sideline. Interesting that UCLA would start with a pass. We expect them to rely most heavily on the running game today. It's really been the strength of their offensive football during this season.
His fifth start is his biggest. A man recruited by Hayden Fry. He wanted him at Iowa, but Stevens said he did not want to leave Southern California, and he has the first down, wedging straight ahead to the 41-yard line. The Hawkeyes defensively, and this is a good defensive team in the top 5 in the nation. Bruce Gear at one end. They have a 5-man front. John Vreese and Iowans are the 3 men in the middle of the line. Hap Peterson, an all Big Ten nose guard. Jeff Drost is their best pass rusher, 9 sacks this year. Richard Pryor, no relation to the comedian, is at left end. In fact, he doesn't even talk. First down from the 41. Play action in trouble, Stevens, but he's able to get away from Drost, but not able to elude John Vreese, the right tackle. Six-yard deficit as Vreese, a junior from Forest City, Iowa, has the sack. The rest of the Iowa defense, there's an All-American number 36, Larry Station from Omaha, Nebraska, and George Davis, tough from Des Moines. We'll check the back 4 for Iowa in a moment. It is second down and 16. Stevens is able to pick up the miscue from Gaston Green. The exchange was not a healthy one, and that was to be expected.
That's something that can happen when you have a quarterback who hasn't had that many snaps during a lot of part of the season.
The defensive backfield for the Hawkeyes. Let's meet them. Nate Greer at the right corner from Brooklyn, New York. Devon Mitchell from the same high school in Brooklyn, Tilden. Jay Norvell, he had 7 interceptions to lead the Big Ten, and Ken Bubba Sims at the other corner. Third down and 22 yards, make that 23 yards to go, and nothing much on that third down effort as Farr goes up the middle, and the Hawkeyes are about to get the ball for the first time.
A little bit of strategy by Hayden Fry pays off. He put his defense out there, got a sack on Matt Stevens. They're going to get it in good field position here to put their offense on the field.
Bill Happel, number 40, is deep for the Hawkeyes along with Robert Smith. A bad snap, and the Hawkeyes are going to get it at the 5-yard line. Covered by Mel Farr, but that's academic. On fourth down, it goes over to Iowa. First and goal at the 5, and indeed, Hayden Fry's strategy could not have worked better.
A snap right over the head of Ted Henderson. Look at him going up, and I think he could have caught that football if he'd have kept his eyes on the football. But he dropped his eyes to see where everyone was and lost the ball. It rolled in behind him. The Hawkeyes are just outside the 5-yard line.
Chuck Long, the All-American quarterback, to Ronnie Hart. He fumbles, and UCLA has it. Oh, my. The ball is dead. His man was down as he caught it on the fly. Had he been on his feet, he could have advanced the fumble. UCLA's Marcus Turner gets the turnover right back for the Bruins.
Boy, you talk about a flip-flop of emotion after that big play to give themselves the ball inside the 10. There's the hit right there. Knocked that ball out of his hands, and that's Jarecki, number 99, reaching in to knock it away, and UCLA pounces on the football.
Boy, you're almost having a look at the Big Ten. Felix down and say, is there a jinx in Pasadena? You couldn't have been presented with a better opportunity. First and goal at the 5, and you fumbled it away on the very first opportunity. 2.5 minutes have been played, and we've had plenty in Pasadena. The 1986 Rose Bowl being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Dodge, a performance revolution, an American revolution. And by NCR, will bring you a better personal computer. Back-to-back plays featuring turnovers. First, Iowa at the UCLA 5, only to have Harmon fumble, and the Bruins have it back at the 7. It gave us to Gaston Green out across the 10-yard line. Vrees trips him up for Iowa. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Gaston Green, he's a sophomore, rushed for a big game in the Fiesta Bowl a year ago today, remember? He had 144 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Stevens, with only 41 attempts, 1 start and a couple of relief roles during the course of 85. I have a feeling we'll see David Norrie, unless Stevens has an exceptional afternoon. Mel Farr Jr. That'll make Papa proud. He's here from Detroit. First down, UCLA.
Smart play by Farr. He actually used the official as a blocker as he ducked in behind the umpire. Let's get in and look at that handoff between Stevens and Farr. You know, he dropped one out of there just a moment ago.
Actually, Gaston
Green, you're right, 44. But you see how he used that official, just sliding to the outside. Got an extra blocker out of the striped shirt.
Marcus Greenwood in for Mel Farr, number 45 at fullback. Stevens play action. Sidelines, almost intercepted by Nate Creer. Creer, who did not have an interception during the course of the regular season.
When you have a good, solid running game, you can make a defense cut up short with a good fake. They did a good job that time of faking it into the line. We're looking from the offside of the field. Watch Stevens here with a little fake of the toss. Turns right back inside, but Nate Creer was not fooled. He had great position and almost intercepted that football.
2nd and 10 from the UCLA 20. Green in motion. And they throw to Green. And he's able to manage a 4-yard effort, tripped up by Ken Sims. Jay Norvell was in on the play as well.
Norvell, the first man there, very active defensive back, and a nice story, Dick. Didn't really have much of anything going for him at Iowa until this year. Found a job, found his confidence, and has developed into an outstanding defensive back.
5th-year senior Norvell led the Big Ten with 7 interceptions. 3rd and 6, and the Hawkeyes ready to tee off on Stevens, who throws to Sherrard, and a first down at the 38. Mike Sherrard, and what a story he is, the all-time UCLA leader in receptions with 124. A walk-on student, missed half the year with a broken clavicle, returning from midseason to the Rose Bowl.
Here's a chance to see how Sherrard gets open. The blitz was on that play. Larry Station coming inside, read well by the quarterback. There's Station, 36, right in the middle of your screen. He's picked up on the play. Stevens did a good job.
Good fake by Stevens, but it did not fool Iowa as Gaston Green is smothered in black. Vrees and Gear on that right side, the primary hitters.
One of the things that is a trademark of this Iowa defense is what we would call stemming, the kind of jumping around that they'll be doing on the line of scrimmage, especially with those linemen and the 2 inside linebackers. They like to move around in there and try and mix up the offensive blocking assignments. There you see him shifting right there.
Mel Farr and Eric Ball in for the first time. Stevens intercepted by Creer. Durrell drags him down at the 33-yard line, and a flag is down.
We've got a face mask on that play that's going to add some yardage to the field position of Iowa. Creer, as you remember, missed a pass just moments ago. This pass goes right through Carl Durrell's hands, but it doesn't miss Nate Creer. And watch the grab right here, reaching in and taking a hold of the mask. You'll see it at the end of this play. It'll add yardage on for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
So this first quarter thus far played entirely on UCLA's half of the field, and Iowa has the pumpkin. So Nate Creer with the interception, and then Durrell dragging him down. They call that a 5-yard, grasping the mask, not twisting him down. Could have almost gone for the 15, and the Hawkeyes have it at the 29. We haven't played 5 minutes yet, Merlin Olsen, and the ball has changed hands on turnovers 3 times.
Turning over very quickly, and Iowa missing that great opportunity down at the 5-yard line. Now with, again, excellent field position just inside the 30. They need to take advantage of this, get some points on the board. You don't want to get that many chances and blow the opportunities. That really pumps your opponent up.
Yeah, you talk about in the NFL a 3,000-yard season by a man playing in 16 games. Here's Chuck Long in 11 games, just 22 yards away from a 3,000-yard season. That gives you the kind of numbers that show you the impact of his performance on this Iowa successful year.
He really has an unusual throwing style that we'll try and document for you during the day.
Looked almost like a mix-up, and then Hudson is stacked up by quintet of white jersey Bruins. Jarecki and Jackson were the first two there. Hudson, a sophomore, in that backfield for Iowa.
If you are a defensive player, what you want to do is be a part of that swarm. There were about 6 Bruins on top of Hudson, and he's an explosive player. He's very important to that Iowa offense. You try and gang up on the running backs back there, Ronnie Harmon. You can't do it because Hudson's popping up inside.
Against the defense, no one was better against the run in the NCAA major colleges and universities this year than UCLA. Play action to Harmon. Bruins were looking pass, and Harmon has a first down at the 18. Chucky Miller pushes him out of bounds after a 13-yard run by Harmon from Laurelton, New York. Went to Bayside High School.
Cutting back against the grain. Now watch Harmon. He's going to come from off of your picture and start inside on this play, but it's his ability to cut back against the grain and way off to the opposite side of the field that really makes this play possible for him. Now watch him as he starts inside and now breaks back against the grain. Beautiful job.
And back to live action as it was Harmon again on the carry. Joe Gasser makes the stop for UCLA. And a good carry on first down to the 10-yard line, where it'll be a second and a long 3 for the Hawkeyes. Harmon, some would argue, may be the greatest offensive player in the history of Iowa. Of course, you go back to Mal Kinnick, and that's a tough argument. But he will finish as the #1 receiver in Iowa history, the #2 rusher in Hawkeye history, and the #2 scorer.
#2 rusher, after really only being in that backfield for 2 years, was a wingback 2 years.
Hudson through the middle, and he is jolted. Very close to a first down, however, right at the 7-yard line. Coming up to greet him was Terry Toomey, number 40, the nose guard.
Terry Toomey, a nice story. Not a big nose guard. He's about 235, 240 pounds, but very quick and a very intense player. You look at him and you say, boy, he's giving away a lot of size to that big Iowa offensive line, but he plays with a kind of intensity that makes him really bigger than he is.
3rd and 1 for Iowa at the UCLA 8-yard line. Big play. On the ground, it is a first down as the fullback, Hudson, plowing straight ahead. Tommy Taylor, 42. Batchkoff, 92. Jarecki, 99 on the stop. But the Hawkeyes have it 1st and goal again.
I talked to Mike Haight earlier. He said we have some size advantage. We're going to lean on them. We're going to try and wear them down. You saw it right there. They drove that smaller UCLA defensive line off the ball and picked up the first down.
It's interesting, Merlin, that Iowa with the ball thus far in the game has not attempted a pass. And we were looking for that ball in the air a lot. And so was Donahue.
Well, if you establish the running game, it makes the passing game a lot easier.
1st and goal. Hudson twisting to the 1-yard line. He's from Waxahachie, Texas, the only starting sophomore on Iowa's offense.
Joe Gasser up to make the tackle, playing in place of Craig Rutledge. Rutledge, one of the better defensive backs in that secondary. They'll miss him, in particular, against the running game. He's very, very good at coming up to stop those running backs.
The H-boys, Hudson and Harmon, have kept it on the ground, and now it's Hudson over the top. Touchdown!
That he never got to use his goal line plays when he was here 4 years ago. Well, he got one, and it worked.
Outland to try the point after. Vlasic to hold, and it's good. After Nate Creer's interception, 29 yards in 7 plays. And from the camera on the far side of the field, watch Hudson, number 20. What a thrill for that young man. The sophomore able to get that ball at the goal line. It's a touchdown for Iowa, and the Hawkeyes have the early lead 7-0 with 7:02 left in the first.
Hilton presents Competition Classics. The Tournament of Roses Parade features showbiz stars, but the real stars are on the field where the Southern Cal Trojans are battling the Ohio State Buckeyes, head-on at the goal line. USC fullback Sam Bam Cunningham goes airborne 4 times, and 4 times he scores to fuel the Trojans' 42-17 win. The Southern California Trojans, their hunger for competition makes them national champions.
College football's best and brightest are on NBC as the Orange Bowl lights up the night sky. Joe Paterno leads the #1 Nittany Lions of Penn State as they battle the second-ranked Oklahoma Sooners for the national championship. Plus the pageantry of the famed Orange Bowl halftime. New Year's Day, the best and brightest of the bowls are on NBC Sports.
David Hudson, a redshirt freshman. Actually, he has 3 more years of eligibility, has given Iowa the early lead 7-0. Now Rob Houtland to kick off to the Bruins. A couple of freshmen back for UCLA, Darrell Henley and Danny Thompson. It's to Henley's side at the 1. And cut down on a sharp open field tackle by number 94, Bruce Gear, a starter at defensive end and on the special teams. So UCLA, with its 3rd opportunity, the first 2 chances for the Bruins ended in a bad snap out of punt formation, and Iowa recovering at the 5, only to give it right back by way of a fumble, and then Nate Creer's interception and return to the 29 with penalty that set up the game's only score. Number 50, Hap Peterson.
Dick, did you notice how the UCLA line just froze down there? Hap Peterson jumped early. The center snapped the ball. Everyone else stayed absolutely still.
Contact by the defense. I guess.
They're trained to do that because if they jump up, the officials may choose to negate that penalty if the defensive man does not touch anyone. But because of the way that was played, the ball snapped with the defensive man offsides. They get the yardage.
They had contact as well, which made it a little easier for the officials. But that is a play that's worked between Joe Coble or any of the centers with a quarterback. Everyone else just freezes, and if they can catch that man in that neutral zone or offside even without contact, they'll take the 5, and they get it here. Fennell, the tight end in motion. Green, not much there at all. Gaston Green stacked up by number 36, Larry Station. That fine inside linebacker, an academic All-American, bright student. I wonder how things are going at Larry's Food Station in Omaha's North Side, where Dad Sr. runs the shop and roots for son Larry. Everyone thought he'd go to Nebraska. UCLA wanted him too.
Interesting that UCLA would have been recruiting Station while Iowa was recruiting Matt Stevens.
Both of them stayed near home. 2nd and 4. Durrell in motion. Good time for Stevens. And the pass offline. So Stevens has not been sharp. His pass is offline. Lots of time before Jeff Drost applied the pressure.
Let's go back and look at a couple of defensive linemen and watch the way they're shifting around before the snap of the ball. Just turn it loose. They whip. We didn't get back fired up. That was just the end of it. Actually, they had jumped around a number of times before that ball was snapped. Moving left, moving right. What they're trying to do is confuse the blocking assignments of the offense.
Watch that defensive line. They'll do it throughout the course of the game. 3rd and 4. Stevens to throw. He's got his man Tennell, the tight end, and a first down at the 36-yard line. Derek Tennell, who is a highly regarded freshman and a terrific recruiting year for Terry Donahue 3 years ago. He was a fullback as a freshman, played in the '84 Rose Bowl in that position, now shifted to tight end.
He's become a very important part of the passing game, and he's an excellent blocker as well.
6'5" and 236. The jumping around as we watch the defensive line. Did you ever do that as a collegian or pro?
I did at both levels, and I hated it until I saw how much trouble it caused for the offense.
Gaston Green, small crack, but boys, that filled in a hurry as Larry Station is there. And what a sense this senior has. He has led the Hawkeyes in tackles each of his 4 years in Iowa City.
Now that's not only a tribute to his ability, but also to his durability. Imagine just staying healthy enough to be in there during that many ball games. Here he is stepping up inside. 36, right-hand side of your screen, right up inside. There's nowhere to go. Station just tracking along the line with that runner.
It's 2nd and 8.
There it is again. Matt Stevens doing a good job of mixing his cadence. And obviously the Iowa defense a little too eager. I think he's barking some signals at.
Slide ball play. Encroachment on the defense.
There was no contact that time. But this is the alertness of Goebel, the center, to get the extra 5.
Watch everyone on that line stay still. Goebel sees the penetration and snaps the football. Stevens goes to his knee. Boy, that is smart football.
Hey, look,
that's disciplined football.
Talk about concrete blocks. The rest of that line, they may not get up till next Friday. They call that the freeze play. It's strictly communication.
They do freeze, too.
With center and quarterback. So the first down makes, or the 5-yard penalty makes it 2nd and 3. Marcus Greenwood pushed back by the Iowa defense, and the Hawkeyes have been stingy on the ground. Gaston Green has carried 6 times for only 10 yards, and Marcus Greenwood got only a yard on that play. It'll be 3rd and a long 1.
The thing that is impressive to me about this Iowa defense, they started the year having graduated 9 of 11 starters. They had to rebuild this defense, and they rebuilt a good one.
It was the offense that was experienced and really gave Hayden Fry and Iowa fans their hopes that did materialize of making it to the Rose Bowl. On 3rd and short, it's Stevens. Complete to Marcus Greenwood, and a first down at the Iowa 40. The first visit by UCLA in Hawkeye territory.
This is the kind of play that Terry Donahue was most worried about. A touch pass, being able to throw that ball to the outside. We saw the end of it, but more important than the end of it was the beginning of it, which you'll see here. A little fake to the running back to give you time, and that's a pass that has to go over the hands, the outstretched hands of the linebacker. Stevens, a fine job.
Ball marked at the 41-yard line. Stevens on first down to throw. He guns that one complete at the 31. There you saw the strength of his arm as he hit Mike Sherrard. He drilled that one.
Dick, you said earlier that we might see David Norrie. If Matt Stevens continues to play this way, we probably will not see Norrie. Look how he zings that ball in there, right dead between the numbers. Good arm strength. He zipped it.
Play is good for 9 yards, 2nd and 1. The score, Iowa 7, UCLA nothing. Less than 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. The sneak by Stevens, and it appears he has the first down at the 30-yard line. Matt Stevens, listed at 6 feet a half inch, but that might be a little exaggeration. 191 pounds from Fountain Valley High School in Southern California. He started 3 games as a sophomore last year for the injured Steve Bono, and started 1 game in the '85 season. And was injured, and Norrie took over the controls and had an outstanding year. Good fake. And that's Eric Ball for a touchdown. What a fake by Stevens. The entire Iowa team thought he was going to pass. Ball had the football and down the left sideline untouched. He's a freshman from Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Michigan proud of their Wolverines and proud of Eric Ball. Here's that replay. You see them popping the hole right up the middle. A good block on Hap Peterson by Goebel, the center. And that's 21, Devon Mitchell, who had a chance at Eric Ball and could not pull him down. And UCLA 1 point away from tying this one up.
John Lee, the All-American place kicker, out of David Clinton's hold to try to tie it. And it is good. Lee, who has missed only once now in 131 attempts at UCLA. Watch the faking again by Stevens. He really locked in the secondary. They were looking for a pass. Then the draw to ball. Oh, that's the way you draw it. Just one hand on him. And we have a new game tied at 7. 3:23 left in the first quarter.
This winter on NBC Sports, all the excitement of college basketball is back.
2-on-2. Rivers behind the back. Oh, my.
Oh, I'll even give that an oh, my, Dick.
It all begins Super Bowl Sunday. College basketball at 1 Eastern. It's the stuff Sundays are made of on NBC Sports.
Eric Ball, the freshman, with a 30-yard gallop for the touchdown, his longest of the season. He scored 7 times. UCLA well blessed at that position. Gaston Green, Eric Ball, James Primus. And now the kickoff. James Bray sends it to the goal line. Back comes Kevin Harmon, the younger brother of Ronnie Harmon, and it'll be the Hawkeyes at about their own 20-yard line. So a 7-all tie. We've seen the explosive nature of both of these teams. Some said that 21 points wouldn't win it today.
Well, even though we've got good defenses on the field, Dick, I think these are explosive offenses, and it's interesting. You keep these players off the field for a little while. The offenses seem to be able to come back and put points on the board, especially for UCLA with all those good running backs. They got a stack of them in there.
And now Chuck Long, we haven't seen him throw a pass as yet. Doesn't figure he'll disappoint us long. A little deception there, and outside goes Hudson for a first down. Oh, it's been a day for freshmen in this first quarter. Hudson scoring for Iowa, and Eric Ball countering the first-year runner for UCLA.
Let's go back and take a quick peek at that last play from the end zone. Chance to watch the faking by Chuck Long, and look how quickly Kelly O'Brien, 66, out there from his left guard position. You get an idea of how much power David Hudson has as he runs right out of a tackle there by Joe Gasser.
14 yards for Hudson and a first down. And here's Long's first pass in the Rose Bowl, and he finds Bill Happel at the 43, and it appears to be another first down. Dennis Price, the tackler. Bill Happel, if that name sounds familiar, a long-time Rose Bowl fans, his daddy played here and scored a touchdown.
Chuck Long getting that ball off very quickly, and one of the things you've got to like about Happel and Helverson, the other receiver on the other side, these guys have glue on their hands. Boy, you get the ball close by, and they got their mitts on it, and they don't give it up.
That doesn't matter what the weather is. They played in rain and bad weather most of the year at Iowa, and these guys don't drop the ball. Fumble! Harmon, Ronnie Tommy Taylor, the linebacker from Chattanooga, came up with a football as Ronnie Harmon lost it. Hayden Fry thought the ball was dead.
Hayden Fry thought the ball bounced out as Harmon hits the ground. You'll see for yourselves here. Harmon gets loose of the first one. Fighting for the ball, that's Melvin Jackson. Well, they hit behind a yard marker. We couldn't tell on that play. The UCLA players bouncing quickly in the air saying we've got it, and indeed Terry Donohue's Bruins have a 1st and 10.
Ball at the Iowa just inside the 45-yard line. 7-7 the score, 2:45 left in the first. Matt Stevens under pressure, incomplete, trying to find his tight end Tennell. Good pressure from 76. The all Big Ten tackle Jeff Drost.
Jeff Drost all over Stevens on that play, and this is one of the things you mentioned earlier, Dick. Stevens probably about 5'10", maybe even shorter than that. Look how he has to look up over the top of that big defensive lineman. Well, he really got to look up now. He's flat on his back.
Yeah, you can tell what kind of toothpaste they use in the morning when you get that close. 2nd and 10. The give is to Gaston Green. Down to the 37 of the Hawkeyes before Ken Sims, number 9 at the left corner, can make the stop. Bubba Sims from East St. Louis, Illinois. He's a senior. Third down and 4 for UCLA. Farr and Green split now instead of the I behind Stevens. Looking for Durrell. He's open. It's a first down at the Hawkeye 25. Carl Durrell, he led UCLA on the season with 36 catches.
Carl Durrell, who had one go through his hands for an interception shortly ago, or a little while ago, doesn't let this one get away. Just a simple little out pattern. Nobody in the picture. That's Nate Creer, 29, finally getting over there, but giving Durrell way too much room on that play.
UCLA with a first down at the 25. That's in John Lee's field goal range, but they're looking for more with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Green hit hard. Jeff Drost, 286-pound senior, the biggest Hawkeye, and he gets off the ball in a hurry.
Drost driving to the inside on that play. Stunning, which this line does quite often. You'll see him coming from the right-hand side. He just nailed Gaston Green, who was looking the other direction. Green is lucky that ball didn't bounce out of his hands.
One of 4 starters on defense from the state of Iowa. The middle 3, Drost, Peterson, and Vries, all from the Hawkeye State. Stevens looking deep for Turnell, and it's too far. Derek Turnell, the tight end. George Davis, 37, the linebacker, hurried Stevens.
Jay Norvell doing a good job of coverage, and I think Stevens wisely just decided to put that one in the stands.
Brings up third down and 10, a long 10. UCLA has been successful on third down conversions. Stevens at his best in this spot, 4 out of 5 in the quarter. Going for 6. It was Sherrard. He was open. The pass too tall and almost intercepted by Devon Mitchell. And here comes the All-American John Lee, Korean-born. He was on the Korean National Little League baseball team as a pitcher first baseman. His family moving to the United States, and just recently, a month and a half ago, became an American citizen, as you heard Bill McAtee's report in our preview. Lee, on the year, missed only 3 field goals. He is the all-time NCAA record holder, 79 field goals in his 4-year career. This one is from 42 yards. And it is good. John Lee gives UCLA the lead, 10-7. So the Bruins lead for the first time, 10-7, and Lee has been a weapon for 4 straight years for Terry Donahue. You wonder what a young man thinks about. They all have their rituals. John Lee, well, he's a different sort of character.
I think of something really off the wall, things like being a Korean and everything, maybe what I could do something 1988 Olympics and things like that. So maybe the NBC has the rights to the Olympics, maybe do something, be a translator or something, things like that, something off the wall. I don't really get involved with the emotional, the outcome. It's not that big a deal. It's only a field goal.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He is cool. He is cool.
The kickoff, not by Lee, but by Bray, down to Harmon at the 5. He has some opening, 30, and tripped up at the 31-yard line, just as he saw daylight by Kirk Alexander. He is the younger brother of a former UCLA All-American, Kermit Alexander. There's Kevin Harmon. He's a year behind his brother Ronnie, playing the same halfback position.
A lot of brothers on this Iowa team. I think that's certainly a good sign for Hayden Fry's program. If the program's not going well, you don't say, hey, little brother, come on down and join me.
Well, they like Kevin as well. He, in limited duty, rushed for 180 yards. But it's Hudson and Ronnie Harmon who are behind Chuck Long. The Hawkeyes down by 3 with 1:06 left in the first quarter. And Long's going to open it up. Good protection. Good catch by Ronnie Hine. Fumbles again. UCLA cannot advance it. It's a Bruins ball. But Chucky Miller, that is not a touchdown. You cannot run with a fumble in college ball unless it's caught in the air. It's UCLA and the turnover again.
And who could have dreamed that your All-American running back, and you see Hayden Fry saying, hey, that's all right, we'll have our chances, stepping over there. That's 3 times today that Ronnie Harmon has turned the football over. He's an outstanding receiver, an outstanding runner, does not have a history as a fumbler, but boy, he's getting that ball stripped away. That's Ken Norton, 41, knocking it out of his hands right on the sideline.
In this first quarter, 5 turnovers, 3 times coughed up by Iowa, and twice by UCLA. And the Bruins have it at the Hawkeye 34. Farr and Green behind Stevens. It's Gaston Green. And like Ronnie Harmon of Iowa, boy, that wonderful ability to be able to stop and start on a dime and those quick cuts. Many feel here on the West Coast that this man, Gaston Green, if he stays healthy, is a candidate for a Heisman a year or 2 away. He has that kind of talent.
He certainly has explosive ability, Dick. It's exciting to watch a young man who can just leave people laying on the ground out there.
Second down 5. Look at that defense move around. Give the Green. He's shy of the first down. George Davis made the tackle. It'll be 3rd and short for UCLA. And that's probably the last play of this first quarter. 3 seconds, 2-1. And that's it. First period is history here in Pasadena in this 72nd Rose Bowl game. Turnover plagued first 15 minutes. UCLA by 3. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. We go to the second quarter, 10-7 UCLA.
Dick, let's look quickly at this stemming we talked about. Bruce Gear on the top and Larry Station. Now watch how they move. As soon as Matt Stevens turns his head to call his audible, they'll move in, they'll change the look. Watch them as they shift back and forth. Very disconcerting to a defense, or to an offense.
First play of the second period is 3rd and 2, UCLA at the Hawkeye 27. They'll make that the 26-yard line. Green, big hole, first down at the 17 of Iowa. Devon Mitchell at free safety, stopped a touchdown.
What a great move by Mitchell. We'll see that after we look at these stats quickly. And of course, UCLA, 102 total yards and 11:03 possession time. Boy, they have dominated the stats. Only have a 3-point edge on the board. Watch the cutback, the little wiggle right there, and then the shot up inside. That's the quickness you were talking about earlier, Dick.
33 yards now for Green. First down UCLA, leading 10-7. Green up the middle, a huge hole. And he tripped up and falls at the 9-yard line. That is going to be very near another first down.
Right between a couple of all Big Ten performers, Drost and Hap Peterson, number 76 and 50. It's explosiveness here that gets him through there. Watch him on the right-hand side of your screen. Right in between those 2 linemen. He gets away. Drost got one of those big arms on him, and that's what put him on the ground. But he picked up about 8 yards in the fall.
No doubt of the color of this drive. It's been all green. 4 straight carries by Gaston. And a second down and a long one. Green again. And a first down at the 4. And boy, that quick movement setting up his blockers. They had thought he was going outside. But this has been a problem with Green. He has suffered injuries in his first 2 years at UCLA. He's not been 100% for either of his 2 years in Westwood.
Reaching for the hamstring there. Perhaps hurt himself as he explodes on this play. Iowa thought that one of the linemen moved prior to the snap, and they were waving that at the officials. No one made the call. Looks like he didn't get hit. I think he may just have stretched that hamstring on his own. We have an Iowa player on the ground as well. Trainer out to check on him.
Oh, did you see how many black jerseys were down on the grass? Some terrific blocking in front of Green, who will be replaced by Eric Ball, the freshman who scored the first UCLA touchdown.
And this is where the platooning of those running backs will pay dividends for Terry Donahue. He really has alternated 5 backs, 2 at fullback and 3 at that tailback position. And Eric Ball has had some outstanding days on the year. In fact, had 4 touchdowns against San Diego State earlier in the year. Dominated the scoring in that game. Hayden Fry out on the field to check on a wounded Warrior. That's Pryor. It's on the shoulders of 2 of the trainers to help him off the field here.
He's the youngest of the Iowa starters. They start 9 seniors, a junior, and he's only a sophomore from Elizabeth, New Jersey. And does not look good. As soon as we get a report, we'll share it with you. It's 1st and goal. UCLA at the Hawkeye 4-yard line. Greenwood and ball behind Stevens. Stevens, fumble. That's a free ball, and Iowa has it. Cornerback Ken Sims on a cornerback dog made the hit, and Jay Norvell, whose dad played for Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl in '63, made the recovery.
Bill Brazier's defense with all the pressure on them, their feet almost in the end zone. They come wide open. Sims from the backside, and Stevens never did see him. Knocked that ball away. Norvell with 2 defensive backs on the blitz, and it's Norvell who covered the football to give the ball back to the Iowa Hawkeyes.
The 6th turnover today. The 1986 Rose Bowl, brought to you by John Hancock Financial Services, meeting today's needs with a range of financial products. By General Electric, at GE, we bring good things to life. And by Visa, accepted worldwide for shopping, dining, and travel. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Oh, Iowa had the ball 1st and goal at the Bruin 5 and fumbled early in the game. And now UCLA with 1st and goal at the 4 fumbles. And Iowa has it at the Hawkeye 19. It remains 10-7 UCLA. 13.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Quick hitter by Hudson. And they're using that play often. Bruins perhaps geared for Ronnie Harmon or the passing of Long, and it has been Hudson, the busy man in the Iowa offense.
Dick, sometimes when a back fumbles the ball, he kind of gets down on himself, and we saw Hayden Fry patting Ronnie Harmon on the back over there and saying, "Don't worry about it." You can hold a great back down sometimes 2 or 3 quarters, but if he keeps coming, somewhere along the line he gets away. I think that's going to happen for Harmon today.
Iowa has a speed receiver in, but the give is to Harmon, and he's stacked up at the 25-yard line. Quinn Early and Robert Smith are the 2 burners, wide receivers for Iowa, where Happel and Helverson, the starters, are the possession men. When you see Smith and Early in there, someone's going deep.
I said that Harmon was going to get away, not on that play. The UCLA defense all over him, and they've turned the lights on here, the Rose Bowl. This overcast settling in. Not a typical California day unless you live at the beach, but it is foggy.
3rd and 4. Long. That quick release, and what a throw. 40, 42 yards long. Ronnie Harmon. Boy, he reminds me, that quick release and throwing off the back foot of Dan Marino. Boy, does he have a quick gun.
He has a quick throwing action, and he reads the defense and the field well. Watch him as he gets great protection from that offensive line. Kelly O'Brien over there doing a good job on Whalen, and there are those soft hands. They've been a little too soft today, dropped it a few times, but boy, that's a nice play.
Ken Norton Jr., the son of the former heavyweight champion, on the coverage. That was good coverage. That's just perfect throwing. And there's another strike to Quinn Early, number 1. He's a junior from Great Neck, New York, and Long throwing strikes. Dennis Price, the tackler.
Now, how do you control an All-American defensive tackle? The most valuable player in the Pac-10, number 95, right in the middle of your screen. That's Mark Whalen. You just surround him with about 4 black shirts and then hang on. And where's he going to go?
He thought he was in the wrong huddle there for a while. Ball at the 49 of Iowa. We're at 2nd and 3. Give it to Harmon. Gets outside. Good move. And a first down at the UCLA 44. Chucky Miller throwing him out of bounds. Pleased to have with us here in Pasadena, and it's got to fly a little low today to get us a shot. The Goodyear blimp. Our pilot is Charles Russell from nearby Downey, California. 1986 marks the 60th consecutive year that Goodyear blimps have flown over major bowl games. And there's a shot from that vehicle. First down, Iowa at the Bruin 44. The Hawkeyes trail 10-7. Screen, Harmon, 40, 35, and close to another first down at the 34 before Miller can get him out of bounds.
Bo Schembechler called Harmon the best Dodger in college football. Down right at the edge of the field, you almost feel like you're a part of the action here. And there's the screen. You let the defensive lineman in, and then you count on the good instincts and running ability of a back like Harmon to get you downfield. Nice play, good pickup, and with short yardage, let's see if Hayden Fry might not gamble on this situation on a second and less than a yard.
Well, he's going to go for the first down and gives to the fullback Hudson. He didn't need much. Stacked up by the entire center of the UCLA defense. Steve Jarecki, senior from Napa, California, up in the good wine country, made that hit.
Didn't need much, didn't get much on that play.
That's 23 James Primus.
Yeah.
Primus, who is the number 3 tailback in the UCLA offense behind Ball and Green. It is good enough for the first down at the UCLA 33. He played in that UCLA big upset 20 years ago. Mel Farr was his teammate. Bruins upset Michigan State, the number 1 team, unbeaten that year. Long has to eat it back at the 47-yard line. So the Bruins have their first sack, and Frank Batchkoff, 92, a junior from Reseda, California, San Fernando Valley lad, makes the tackle.
Dick, we're used to seeing tight ends who get down in the three-point like these linemen. Here's the tight end in an upright position, standing up. That's a Hayden Fry trademark. He's done that since his days at North Texas State. This situation, that tight end is blocking, trying to keep Melvin Jackson out of the play. Unfortunately, Long got outside, got himself in trouble, couldn't find a receiver. We'll look at that during the play. That's a very unusual trademark or signature of this Iowa Hawkeye offense.
I'd like to ask you about that. Doesn't it make it tough when you have to block down on a tackle? 2nd and 24. Long, look at the time. Finds his man, Robert Smith, at the 32-yard line. Gain of about 16.
What a great pass by Chuck Long. You know, you watch him in practice. He throws the ball with an almost casual flick of the arm. And you're not terribly impressed until you notice that all of those passes seem to go right where they're supposed to go. Look how quickly that ball is in the air. That little sidearm and wrist action gets it right to his receiver.
Again, that receiver, Robert Smith, well covered. And Craig Rutledge, who is playing after knee surgery, has a big brace on his knee, is in at safety. 3rd and 9. Harmon looked like a little shovel pass and tripped up. A blocking tackle by Joe Gasser, 28, who came up from a safety slot.
Trying to get that ball in behind Whalen on that right side. When you have a very good defensive lineman, they tend to get upfield quickly. And that shovel pass discourages that kind of penetration.
Well, that was a pass, just a little delay, and then almost a forward handoff, but it wasn't handed off, just tossed ahead to Harmon to the 26, short of the first down. 4th and 2 and a half. Rob Houtland to try a 43-yard field goal to tie. He's got the distance. No, he doesn't. It falls short in the end zone, but a flag is down, and we may have a penalty against UCLA. Roughing the kicker, and that'll give Iowa a first down.
And Houtland, bitterly disappointed in his kick, will trade his body for the first down on that one very happily. Let's go back and look at the play. Look how sharp the angle is as he comes in. Not a good job of holding that ball, but there's the knockdown right there. 42, Tommy Taylor, the man who ended up on Houtland's legs. And of course, that mark-off will give the Iowa Hawkeyes, well, wait a minute. What are they doing now, Dick?
You have no tip? Okay.
We're going to make sure that the ball was not tipped before they mark off the penalty. If it had been tipped, then there would be no penalty.
If they get their hands on the football, be it a punt or be it a field goal, then you don't have the call.
Running in the kicker. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Ball marked down to the 21-yard line. So the Hawkeyes, instead of coming up empty on the 42-yard miss, will get the penalty on the first down.
Coming from another angle. Watch the top of your screen. There's Tommy Taylor coming in. You see how far short the kick is, and obviously no one touched that football. That was the contention of the UCLA defense.
9 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the first half. UCLA 10, Iowa 7. Long, under pressure to Hampel. First down and goal, just inside the 10. Miller with a defensive play and another perfect throw by All-American Chuck Long.
A nice play as Long rolls out to his right. Just a little half roll. Gets a good block by Ronnie Harmon there, but he couldn't keep. Who is that? That's
Terry Toomey.
Diving and actually threw that ball after Toomey had a hold of his ankles.
But again, right on the run.
Wow.
Apple couldn't have asked for it in a better place. First and goal. They have the full 10 yards to go. Little misdirection to Hudson, the fullback, for about 3. Taking to Harmon left and giving to Hudson back inside, and Tommy Taylor, the senior from Chattanooga, Tennessee, Freight Train Taylor, 2 times an all-conference performer in the Pac-10, made the hit.
You run misdirection plays most often out of respect for a defense. Taylor is one of those who reacts very quickly. Talking to the offensive coordinators for Iowa, Bill Snyder, he said, we've got to run some of those plays to make sure that we keep that defense honest.
Second and goal from the 7. Long. Incomplete. Tight end Mike Flagg at the back end of the end zone, the intended target, but Long saw him covered by James Washington and tossed it high and away. Well, what a day this has been on NBC Sports. Michigan defeating Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. And coming up at halftime, we'll have highlights of that action as well as this Rose Bowl encounter. And, of course, we invite you to stay with us on NBC. Game that may feature the crowning of the national champion in college football as Oklahoma meets unbeaten Penn State down in the Orange Bowl. We're ready to cover all the action from that key game.
Chuck Long, concerned about running out of time, decided not to worry it, took a timeout.
There was a rumor that you knocked on the door of the state of Iowa and no one was home. Well, there are plenty of them out here. 104,000 jammed into this marvelous crater in the Arroyo Seco. We don't see the San Gabriel Mountains today. They're in the fog.
They're there.
They are indeed, and the fans are seeing an outstanding game. And here a critical play on third and goal from the 7. Hudson on a draw, and that did not fool UCLA. Tommy Taylor staying at home. Ken Norton, 41, was there as well.
Everything smashed up inside as the UCLA defense responded extremely well to that play. Nothing they could do.
This drive for Iowa began, you'll recall, when UCLA Stevens fumbled on first and goal way down at the Hawkeye 4. This is Houtland's second attempt to get 3 out of it. Much shorter. This will be a 24-yard attempt. And we have a new game. It's tied at 10. Rob Houtland, the junior from Glenview, Illinois, a walk-on.
And how does he feel about not being the GOAT after missing that field goal? Well, he made one, and he got the 3 on the board.
Houtland out of Mark Vlasic's hold, and with 7:43 left in the half, it's tied.
The best and brightest of the bowls are on NBC. January 11th, the Hula Bowl spotlights Lombardi Trophy winner Tony Casillas, running back sensation Napoleon McCallum, and the nation's top senior All-Americans in their final collegiate appearance. The Hula Bowl. College football's best and brightest are on NBC Sports.
10-10 as Howland from 24 yards after the fumble recovery when Matt Stevens was hit deep in Iowa territory, and now Howland to kick it off. Danny Thompson, Darrell Henley are deep for UCLA. Skids it down the middle, picked up by an up back. And it's Mel Farr, Jr., out to the 30-yard line.
That kind of kick works much better on an artificial turf, and the Hawkeyes use that effectively all year long. That ball kicks and skids and bounces. On a natural turf, kind of kills the bounce. Farr able to scoop it up on the dead run, and they got good field position to start this drive.
Matt Stevens brings them out of the huddle. He is 7 for 13 in this first half, 73 yards, 1 interception, and he has fumbled once. Greenwood and Eric Ball. Gaston Green has not returned since suffering a leg injury. It's too far. 25 yards for Mel Farr Jr. That 22 is the same number his daddy wore as an All-American at Westwood.
An explosion right up the middle as Farr read the blocking well. They got station 36 to overreact, and Farr just blew his way out there for a fine gain. A quick look at the linebackers. There's Station, number 36. You saw him overreact to the start of the play.
Stevens, a flanker screen, well read as Willie Anderson is dumped for a loss by Nate Creer. Anderson, nicknamed Flipper, a speedy wide man, the fastest of the Bruins. He runs around a 4.35, but boy, Creer was right on his jersey.
Flipper got flipped on that one.
That's some good scouting work by the Iowa defense. They were not fooled at all by that play. A loss of a yard, 2nd and 11 at the Hawkeye 46. Eric Ball. Out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Devon Mitchell came up from free safety. Make the stop on Ball. He's 6'1" and 215 pounds, Ball, the freshman. Very strong. He'll squat almost 500 pounds. Of all the backs, maybe even the fullbacks, he's the strongest of the lot. And he already has had a fine New Year's Day with that 30-yard run for the UCLA touchdown in the first quarter. 3rd down, 5. Oh, big hole for Ball to the outside. 30.
Difficult for Norrie to run. It's just a quick option to the outside. Stevens getting the ball out there. Great block by Al Wilson, number 88, on Sims. That opened the door, and Eric Ball took it all the way in.
When we say it's already been a happy new year for Eric Ball, it's a great start to 86. He has carried the ball 3 times, 2 touchdowns, 75 yards. Total rushing. Lee, point after, down the middle. And UCLA leads 17-10. Eric Ball on the option, catching the Iowa defense by surprise, a 40-yard touchdown.
Dick Enberg, I know that you are a young man, but tell us about
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Tell us about your first recollections of this Rose Bowl.
I think it was 1943. UCLA was UCLA's first game here. Frankie Sinkwich and Charlie Trippi came here from Georgia.
I remember those
Bulldogs beat UCLA 9-0. Listen to an old Emerson radio out in the San Fernando Valley. That game, remember, Bob Waterfield was the UCLA quarterback. And you know, I guess it's a measure of an event that you do associate times in your life with great moments in sports, and I think for the Rose Bowl fans, they can associate with a lot of big days with this January 1st and what happened in Pasadena. Certainly the players themselves and coaches do. Bray's kick is a long one and will not be run out by Harmon of Iowa. So they'll start from the 20-yard line.
Dick, one of the interesting things, we talk about signatures and little interesting idiosyncrasies of the teams. The UCLA kickoff team puts a couple of people way back behind the line, and they run their people up. See them coming from 10 yards back. That's Dameron and Alan Dial. Jeff Dameron and Alan Dial, look at them now. They time it so that they arrive at running at full speed. That puts two people down there very quickly into the coverage. Just a little difference there. Not many teams do that. That's something that UCLA has developed that they really enjoy using.
UCLA terminology, they call them DHs, designated hitters. Boy, that's really getting a flying start. They're starting back at the 25-yard line. Iowa now trailing 17-10. It's Harmon, and he's caught for a loss at the 18. The man who made the tackle was Ken Norton Jr., but the play was made by a teammate,
Tommy Taylor.
And Tommy Taylor.
Yeah, Tommy Taylor absolutely burying, coming in from the right side of your screen. And watch the way he attacks that. There he is, just knocking that blocker, that's Hudson, right off his feet. Oh, Harmon did a great job of avoiding Taylor, but he couldn't avoid the next man up, who stripped him to the ground, Norton.
Well, they like Norton, who is a sophomore, true sophomore. He's not been redshirted. There's the comparison today. The All-American Long, he's 9 for 10, 93 yards. Stevens has hit about 50% of his passes. Another completion for Long as he hits Craig Clark, the backup tight end. He caught only 5 balls during the course of the year. Clark, a junior from Columbus Junction, Iowa.
Very short gain will bring up a 3rd and 10 for these Hawkeyes. Hawkeyes deep in their own territory, 5:13 on the clock. And having watched Ball sprint for a touchdown that put UCLA up 17-10, Hayden Fry, who calls all the plays, is running down his list. He said, hey, we got to find something to put points on the board here.
3rd and 10, Happel to the right, Helverson to the left. They stay on the ground, surprisingly, but it works. Is he there for the first down? It depends on where they mark it. I believe he might have made it. A 10-yard carry on the draw to Ronnie Harmon.
Well, do they mark it on the front foot or the back foot? He marks it right on both feet, and I think it's going to be enough for the first down.
It is. Well, that's a good call. Everyone looking past, and he goes to the draw.
Well, Hayden Fry likes to cross you up. Nice play here. A little misdirection on the draw. Same kind of move we saw by Ball, starting in to his left, our right as we look at it, and getting the linebackers to react a little bit and then cutting back against the grain. Ronnie Harmon doing a good job on that play.
You saw Carnell Lake, 31, get to Harmon, but Harmon's strength dragging him forward for the first down at the 30. 4 minutes, 4 seconds left in the half. Long to scramble. And back to the line of scrimmage, that's all. Number 7, Chance Johnson, in on that play. He is a freshman from Compton, California. Was considered the top high school football player in Southern California as a senior in high school. Has been shifted from safety to a linebacker position.
Just a little half roll on that play, and we'll do it quickly. Watch the quarterback Long just stretch out of there. He'll get a block from his fullback. He wants to run a little bit further, but tremendous pressure on the outside kept him from getting out of there.
Brings up 2nd and 10. Good protection. Now it breaks down. He has to dump it off to the tight end Flagg. And Mike Flagg gains 4 and draws a crowd of Bruins. Taylor and Miller leading the charge.
Again, you see Long kind of throwing off that back foot, but he has such a strong arm and a quick flip of that wrist that he can get that ball out of there and put it on target. 3rd and about, what is that, about 7 yards exactly, 6 yards exactly for these Hawkeyes. And you see the Bruins putting some pass defense on the field right now. They got to believe that Long's going to throw the football.
Mass substitution, 6 new defenders in on this 3rd down 6. Draw. So Iowa crosses him up, and that's Harmon again all the way to the UCLA 49. First down. 18 yards for Harmon. So 2 third and long situations. UCLA looking pass, Harmon run, and first down Iowa.
It's almost a card game. They said, hey, he bluffed on the last one, faked the pass, ran the draw. We bet he's going to run the pass. Nope. Right back to Harmon, the same play, and Harmon again gets enough for the first down. That's Price, number 6, finally getting a shot from behind, part of the tackle.
Harmon, he's the free spirit, does impersonations, quite a character. 2:23 left in the half. Complete to Harmon. Fumbles. Is it in play? And who's got it? UCLA. Ronnie Harmon. Third fumble in this first half, and all 3 were really ripped out of his grasp as he tried to gain added yardage.
You begin to wonder if maybe Ronnie Harmon isn't just too tight, maybe trying to do too much in this game. He may be trying Hayden Fry's patience at this point, too. As for Terry Donahue, he just tickled to death that his Bruins are getting some of those balls to bounce in their direction.
So Iowa driving toward a potential tying touchdown, trailing 17-10, coughs it up. UCLA ball. Ken Norton recovered at the Bruin 48. Stevens looking for more and going long, open, 81. Derek Tennell, the tight end.
That's number 8, I think.
Oh, it is. Carl Durrell. I was wondering. I didn't think Tennell could run that fast. 38 yards on the play.
Carl Durrell can sure do it down the right sideline. It's just enough. He's working one-on-one on number 9, Ken Sims, and Sims just could not keep up. A little late getting his jump and missed that ball by just a fraction of an inch. Good play, UCLA.
Less than 2 minutes remaining first half. First down at the Iowa 14. Eric Ball to the 5-yard line. He's looking for the hat trick in the first half. Ball, the freshman, Station and Mitchell, 2 veterans in the Iowa defense, make the stop.
Hammering over the left side of that offensive line, right in behind Mike Hartmeyer. Good job.
And timeout has been called. 1 minute, 46 seconds left in the half. Terry Donahue now in his 10th season at UCLA. If the Bruins should win today, it would be his 80th win. 8 an average per year. He has developed an outstanding program here in Southern California. Still a boyish presence about him. Can you imagine him playing defensive tackle at 195 pounds in the Rose Bowl 20 years ago?
I think he's probably less than that right now.
That was the game, you'll recall, where Bob Stiles, he weighed about 150 pounds, tackled Bob Apisa of Michigan State, the number 1 team, on a 2-point conversion try. Duffy Doherty's team trying to make it 14-all, and UCLA won at 14-12. This is second down and 2 at the Hawkeye 6. Ball. And he's having one. 3 touchdowns for Eric Ball. And 6-yard runs for freshman Eric Ball. Hello, Ypsilanti, Michigan. That is Community Eastern Michigan University, located there just outside of Ann Arbor. That part of the country celebrating. Michigan has beaten Nebraska, and now one of their homegrown starring here for UCLA.
Pat Peterson in a little early to get a tap on one of the linemen. Not enough to really make a difference, although Terry Donahue might elect, if that marches halfway to the goal line, to go for a 2-pointer.
Tom Quinn's microphone obviously having some technical problems. This one's against UCLA.
Well,
what happens is Terry Donahue. Here's David Norrie, number 9. A lot of things must be going through that young man's mind. He was a major contributor to UCLA winning the Pac-10 conference, and then the injury, and here in the big one, the Rose Bowl, as a senior, he has to give way to Matt Stevens. lead to kick from 5 yards farther away. It would be, in essence, a 25-yard extra point try. He just has such a... His leg is as accurate as Long's arm.
Such a comfortable style as he just floats into that ball. Here's that touchdown play. And again, it's Ball's ability to start outside and watch the cut right here. Back inside, right through the grasp of George Davis, number 37, and on into the end zone.
So Iowa late in this first half with the ball, UCLA territory, only to find star back Ronnie Harmon fumbling the ball away for the 4th time in the half, and UCLA quickly converting. Eric Ball, the freshman, with his 3rd touchdown of the half, and UCLA opens a 24-10 lead. Here come the DHs as Bray hits it high and spins it down into the end zone. Harmon's going to take it out. Flags are down, and so is young Kevin Harmon at the 17-yard line. I believe we have a penalty against Iowa. Chance Johnson, freshman linebacker, made the tackle. Clipping against the Hawkeyes. That'll take it half the distance to the goal line.
Let's go back quickly and look at that last play. Linebackers have got to flow with the play. Davis and Station, and watch them as they flow to the outside, but then watch what happens to Davis right at the end of this play. Gets outside and actually runs by the ball carrier. There it is, right there. Let's look at it right there. You see Ball cutting inside of Davis and driving then toward the end zone. He breaks away from that tackle, gets off another tackle, and throws himself into that end zone.
The 3 touchdowns in the first half puts Eric Ball only 1 away from the Rose Bowl touchdown record, modern record, from 1973, Sam Bam Cunningham. Most of those were the short ones over the top. He scored 4 times.
In fact, I think a couple of the shots we saw in our pregame were of Sam Bam putting himself into the air, launching himself, as you would.
And he was a guided missile for the Trojans.
Dick, in this kind of situation during the year, Hayden Fry occasionally has pooch kicked. In other words, just kicked it out on first down. He's not going to do it here, however.
From the 4-yard line, Harmon, a marked man, and it's been a highly disappointing and frustrating one for Harmon. A terrific player. He rushed for over 1,100 yards this year, caught 49 passes. You know, he started today only 52 yards shy of a mile offense for Iowa this year, but he's fumbled the ball away 4 times.
I mentioned earlier that maybe he is just too tight, trying to do too much, and you can say, well, how can that happen to you? How can it happen in a game like this? Well, believe me, they've really been isolated, and they've been thinking about nothing but football. Maybe they've been thinking too much football.
Long from his end zone. Whoa. Avoiding the safety, has a man open. Could not hit Robert Smith, the junior from Dallas, Texas. He's a top sprinter, perhaps the fastest man in this Iowa team. Got himself turned around, couldn't quite come up with it, but he was open. Hayden Fry, a former quarterback himself in his playing days with the Baylor Bears back in 1947 through 1950.
Even though Hayden has Bill Snyder as offensive coordinator sitting up top in the press box, he doesn't wear the headset. They've decided on a game plan going in. And he, of course, sending the plays out. Chuck Long with the option to change those plays at the line of scrimmage, and he'll change 15 to 20 during a ball game.
47 seconds left in the half. Iowa needs a first down, or UCLA is going to get still another chance. Good catch by Harmon, one-handed, and then gets outside and has the first down. What an effort. That was a big play. If he doesn't make it, UCLA calls time, and they would have had a chance to get Lee on the field for a field goal, presuming Iowa would have had to punt.
You see the dodging ability here, Dick. You're absolutely right. That is a big play. You're already down. You don't want it to get any more. One hand. You see him there carrying that ball rather loosely in that hand. He has not, as we said, fumbled a great deal during the year, but he has had 4 on the ball today.
Timeout has been called. A chance for us to pay tribute to one of the teams participating today, UCLA.
At UCLA, dreams become reality. Each year, thousands of people graduate from UCLA's numerous colleges and professional schools and realize their dreams, pursuing careers in law, medicine, engineering, the arts, and education. Hopes for better tomorrows come true today in UCLA's sophisticated research centers and laboratories, where researchers conquer disease and search for new energy sources. UCLA is a place where the future is happening now, as faculty and students work and grow together. At UCLA, dreams become reality because of a continuing commitment to academic excellence. Excellence that has made UCLA one of America's leading universities. UCLA, an investment in the future.
UCLA leading Iowa 24-10, and the fans of the Bruins and the fans of Iowa and all of those 100,000 plus here in the Rose Bowl looking ahead to halftime, part of this grand day of celebration from the parade through the game. Wonderful music, and we'll share some of that with you at the intermission, as well as all the scores and highlights of other bowl activities, so stay with us. Long on first down, final minute of the half. Completes to Hudson, short yardage, and Long down under pressure, Mark Whalen.
Dick, you keep your finger on the pulse of an offense by looking at what they're doing on first down and also how they're converting on third down. UCLA so far in the game averaging 7 yards per carry on first downs. Iowa only 3.9 per carry, so you get a very healthy difference there. And the conversions on third down, 6 for 8 for UCLA, and 5 for 7, which is pretty good for Long. But of course, when you're not getting those long yards, you're in trouble.
What do you think about that one?
Well, I got to go with Joe Paterno. I got to tell you, he's the kind of guy that when you put him in a situation where he can walk home with that national championship, I got to believe his troops are going to be there with everything they got and maybe then some.
It's like Bob Knight in basketball at Indiana. You don't want to give a coach of Paterno's ability a whole month to prepare.
You certainly don't. And I understand they're going to keep that Schooner off the field this year, so maybe he would rather have him take it out on the field this year.
Hey, but that Barry Switzer's quarterback, that young freshman, he really makes things happen, and the Sooners have such an outstanding defense, big and fast. What a game that should be, and that'll follow our activity from the Rose Bowl, a big bowl triple header on NBC. Chuck Long has missed on only 2 passes today. You can almost make a case for the point he could be 16 for 16. He has the Big Ten record, completed 22 in a row against Indiana.
That was 2 years ago, but of course the critical thing today, turnovers. 4 fumbles by Harmon, and they have really put Iowa in a bad situation here in the first half.
The timeout was Iowa's, 20 seconds left. Down he goes. Terry Toomey, sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's a good story. Toomey, as you saw, wearing 40. He came to UCLA because he was watching the Rose Bowl game in '83 when UCLA beat Michigan. Position. He said, I'm built like him. I'll go out there. And here he is, a starter himself in the Rose Bowl as a sophomore. The end of the first half. UCLA by 2 touchdowns.
You got to believe UCLA is ecstatic at that score, and Iowa believes they're beating themselves.
And a big halftime of activity, scores, highlights when we return.
Hi, and once again, Happy New Year, everybody. Bob Costas in New York. Following the Rose Bowl, as you know, it's Penn State with their record of 11-0 against Oklahoma. The Sooners are 10-1, only an early season loss to Miami in Norman, Oklahoma, by the way, marring their record. The national championship could be at stake. Here's a preview from Don Criqui.
Thank you, Bob. The tension is building here in Miami for this matchup of college football super teams. Number 1 Penn State and number 2 Oklahoma, with the national championship directly tied to the outcome. Penn State, as always, features outstanding defense, but the Nittany Lions also have some superb offensive players, like number 42, DJ Dozier, a 210-pound power back with breakaway speed. Oklahoma's offense is centered around a freshman quarterback, Jamel Holloway, number number 4. A young man who's quarterbacked the Sooners 7 times, and in those games they've averaged almost 38 points and 350 yards a game rushing. Can the Penn State defense break the wishbone offense of Oklahoma? The national championship hinges on the outcome. This is Don Criqui in Miami. Now back to Bob Costas in New York.
All right, Don, earlier today on NBC, Michigan finished 10-1-1, dropped Nebraska to 9-3 by winning the Fiesta Bowl 27-23. Let's take a look at highlights. It looked for a while as if it would be another bowl game nightmare for Bo Schembechler. The Wolverines trailed 14-3 at halftime. 2 touchdowns by Doug DuBose of Nebraska. This one on a pass from McCathorn Clayton that covered 6 yards early in the second quarter. But in the third quarter, Nebraska self-destructed, a couple of fumbles. They also suffered a blocked punt. Here is Jim Harbaugh scoring his second touchdown of the day for Michigan, gave them the lead at 17-14. They scored 24 unanswered points in the third quarter, built a 27-14 lead, and then held on to win 27-23. Steve Taylor's desperation pass into the end zone, intercepted by Garland Rivers, and the victory belongs to Michigan. Jamie Morris, the sophomore running back for the Wolverines, younger brother of the Giants' Joe Morris, had 156 yards on the day. DuBose carried 17 times for 99 yards for Nebraska. In the Cotton Bowl, the Aggies of Texas A&M, making their first Cotton Bowl appearance in 18 years, defeated Auburn 36-16 despite 129 yards rushing and a couple of touchdowns by Heisman winner Bo Jackson. A&M was in front 12-7 in the second quarter when Pat Washington went to the air on this flip to Jackson, and look what he does with it. Turns it into a 73-yard catch and run. Auburn has the lead at that point 13-12. We'll move ahead to the third quarter with A&M in front 15-13 at that point, and Anthony Toney will build the lead to 21-13 on a 22-yard run. Eventually, a field goal for Auburn will bring them to within 21-16, and they get second and goal at the 2-yard line and give it to Jackson 3 straight times, and all 3 times A&M stops him. That was the turning point in the game. Texas A&M goes on to win at 36-16. A&M's quarterback Kevin Murray threw for almost 300 yards, including a touchdown. And in the Rose Bowl game you're watching now on NBC, 4 fumbles by Ronnie Harmon of Iowa, 7 turnovers overall in the first half. Eric Ball carries the ball only 5 times for UCLA and scores on 3 of those 5 carries. The Bruins, the underdogs, leading 24-10 at the half. Let's go back to Pasadena.
If you're just joining us, the big story, Eric Ball, the freshman runner for UCLA, 3 touchdowns. Ronnie Harmon, outstanding runner for Iowa, 4 fumbles. And it's a 24-10 UCLA lead at halftime. And on the field, the solid gold sound of the UCLA band, Director Gordon Henderson, UCLA marching band director, and Dr. Thomas Lee is the director of bands. They're currently playing Doc Severson's composition, Spanish Streams. Boy, Doc Severson has to be proud. I think some of those kids were staying up late and watching the Tonight Show. They had the sound
and the gesticulation. Next for the UCLA band, music from West Side Story. Big Ten, but there are a lot of other colorful nicknames. Let's pay tribute to that fine conference.
The Pacific 10 Conference, comprised of the universities of Southern California, Oregon, California, Washington State, Arizona, Oregon State, UCLA, Arizona State, Washington, and Stanford. Unparalleled in athletic achievement and winner of more NCAA championships than any other conference, the Pacific 10 stretches from Arizona in the southwest north to California, Oregon, and Washington. Unsurpassed in academic excellence, Pac-10 schools have been providing the best in quality education for more than a century, offering degrees in agriculture, music, art, drama, and dance, as well as the sciences, including medicine, computer science, engineering, business, and law. The Pacific 10 Conference, leading America into the 21st century.
The Rose Bowl's a granddaddy, and this man is a giant in its history. In fact, his father helped build the Rose Bowl as we know it back in 1923. Leigh Leishman saw his first Rose Bowl game in 1916. No man has contributed more to this day's events than Leigh Leishman, and we're proud to be a part of it again, sir.
Thank you, Dick Enberg. Pasadena Tournament of Rose Association, the Big Ten, and the Pac-10 are pleased to present this plaque to NBC Sports for its 35 and more years of broadcasting and telecasting our Rose Bowl game. And I'm pleased to have Arthur Watson here today, president of NBC Sports, to accept it. Arthur, it's yours.
Thank you, Leigh. All of us at NBC and NBC Sports are very proud of our long association with the Pasadena Tournament of Roses Association, the Pac-10 and the Big Ten conferences. In anyone's lifetime, 35 years is a long association and a very special one, and I can assure you our relationship is one of a kind, and we look forward to many, many more years being here at the Rose Bowl with you and your associates. Thank you, Leigh.
We look forward to it as well, Arthur.
We return to the 72nd Rose Bowl edition after these messages from your local station.
Here's your chance to order the 1986 Rose Bowl souvenir program for the 72nd Classic, matching Iowa and UCLA. Send a check or money order for $6 to Touchdown Publications, P.O. Box 882110, San Francisco, California, 94188, 2110. This collector's edition contains in-depth scouting reports, a special review of past Rose Bowl games, and many other features. The price includes postage and handling. You'll receive your Rose Bowl program about 6 to 8 weeks after the game.
The Iowa Hawkeye band on the field at halftime of this Rose Bowl game. UCLA leads 24-10. The Big Ten, one of the nation's leading conferences. That has been true for more than a century.
The Big Ten Conference completed its 90th season of football competition this fall with one of its most successful years. The conference won 80% of its non-league games, the best in the nation and second best ever in Big Ten history. Over 4 million fans saw the Big Ten produce the nation's leader in rushing, passing efficiency, total offense, and receiving. The conference is now preparing for another exciting basketball season after league teams won over 80% of their December non-league battles. Big Ten women's sports are among the best in the nation, with 12 conference championships now conducted on an annual basis. In addition, non-revenue sports like wrestling, hockey, and cross-country are currently among the nation's best. but its nationally known academic reputation, which distinguishes Big Ten universities where tomorrow's leaders in research, technology, and higher education are ready to meet today's challenge.
Well, Bill Stern, Mel Allen, Kurt Gowdy, Lindsey Nelson, the great sportscasters of this century have had the honor of being in this broadcast booth at the Rose Bowl, and it all began in 1927, and it's appropriate as we hear the Iowa Hawkeye Band perform that we relive a memory. In 27, Graham McNamee was the announcer as he described the halftime activities.
And now the National Broadcasting Company and associated radio stations ask you to just listen to the band for a few moments, because particularly this is the first time band music or music has been transmitted from the Pacific coast to the Atlantic coast.
The Hawkeye Band, 285 strong. The director, Dr. Morgan Jones. Director of bands, Dr. Myron Welch. Indeed, from the Pacific coast to the Atlantic coast and around the world.
Sent to a feature motion picture team of 1985, Sing Elmo Fire.
The design for this number, St. Elmo's Fire, is a computer-generated 3D show design written on a Tandy 2000 computer using multidimensional show design software. It's the state of the art at halftime of the Rose Bowl. Now from Pasadena, California, let's visit the Hawkeye campus in Iowa City. Hawkeye Marching Band wrapping up its festivities at halftime. UCLA leading Iowa 24-10. The story of the first half for the Iowa Hawkeyes,
frustrating 30 minutes, well displayed.
Well, I said just at the end of the half that they are beating themselves, and there's the proof of the pudding. 4 of their 7 drives have ended in fumbles by Ronnie Harmon. You want to put the ball in the hands of your best running back, and he's also their leading receiver all time, but he has just had a horrible first half. I bet you he's the one guy on the field happiest that there are 2 halves in the football game right now.
And then Lady Fate, doesn't she deal some stunning cards? How does Harmon? They say he hasn't fumbled the ball 4 times all year, and he loses 4.5 in the Rose Bowl for Hayden Fry. And then you go on the other side of the field, and Terry Donahue loses his starting running back, Gaston Green, and a kid from Michigan, Eric Ball, comes in and scores 3 touchdowns.
5 runs for 89 yards for a freshman. He has got to be walking on air right now. I got to tell you, UCLA has got great position, but they have to play the second half as they played the first half. Hayden Fry has been there telling his troops, we've got another half of football to play. They're an explosive team. They've got a quarterback who can throw. They're not like some of the big teams who used to come out here running the football.
And we haven't really seen all of Chuck Long, do you think? I mean, we've seen him complete the short passes, but we haven't seen him really set up the bomb.
We haven't seen him open up. And, of course, Hayden Fry right now looking down that list, and he's thinking touchdowns. I think we're going to see some explosive football. At least they're going to try and open this game up in the second half. Terry Donahue wants more of the same throughout the second half.
Now, remember, Iowa won the toss at the start of the game and elected to kick the ball off. They wanted UCLA on defense, and it was a good strategy. So, well, apparently
UCLA has decided they're going to return the favor. They're going to put their defense on the field. Well, that is interesting.
John Lee does not do the kicking off. That's young Bray, James Bray. Iowa deploys Quinn Early, number 1, and the younger brother of Ronnie Harmon, Kevin, number 28, on the near side. Here come the designated hitters, and the second half underway. To Harmon at the 1, 10, 20, and the 24-yard line. It appeared to be a good gap, but Steve Jarecki did a good job, number 99, of getting his body in the way. First 30 minutes look this way, and that rushing number for UCLA really jumps out. You mentioned it, Merlin Olsen. With the quarterback Stevens replacing Norrie, the Bruins had to establish the run.
They were going to have to go to that running back situation, and Donahue said it in the opening, in our pregame opening. He said the best depth we have on this team is at running back. He has exploited it today. We saw Gaston Green early. He went out with a hamstring injury, which allowed Ball a chance to strut his stuff, and oh, how he has made an impact on this game.
Top 5 running backs for UCLA are all back next year. Long down the middle to Hackle, and a first down. James Washington, the tackler, at the 41, 17 yards on his first pitch of the second half.
Well, I guess we read Hayden Fry correctly. He's coming right out. He said the forward pass is the best equalizer in the game of football. Well, that'll equalize field position a little bit. There's that quick release right there by Chuck Long. Long statistics would say he has had an excellent day, but he needs some scores on the board right now.
There's Ronnie Harmon. Oh, he must have eyes in the back of his helmet. That man chasing him down, he made the right move blindly to elude the UCLA tackler before Joe Gasser could make the stop. A 5-yard gain for Ronnie Harmon.
Iowa fans up to give their troops a little cheer and to root them on. They're not home in Iowa City, but they know they got some backing here today.
There's another Harmon on the football scene, the older brother Derek Harmon with the San Francisco 49ers after playing his college ball at Cornell. Long, second down and 5, barking out an audible. Stop and go. He's in UCLA territory and close to a first down at the Bruin 48. Jim Waller, number 66, a freshman from San Jose, California, made the tackle. Here he is, 238 pounds. He was a high school hurdler, Waller.
I've been concerned about him. He's got a cast on one of his hands, broken thumb, and of course, when you've got a small nose tackle, as they do in Terry Toomey, number 40, you need to spell him periodically. Waller has been the guy.
at the first down. At the Kiwanis Luncheon, the largest box lunch affair in history, 4,000 people in Pasadena yesterday. You asked Ronnie Harmon, how did a New York kid get all the way to Iowa City? What did he say?
He said blindfolded. He was there in his wraparound sunglasses and his leather pants, and he's still a city boy. I said, do you have any plans to become a farmer? And he almost cracked up.
You see Waller with that protection. First down, Iowa. Long, wide open is flag. The tight end, 30, 20. First down at the Bruin 16. 32 yards, Long to his tight end.
UCLA exploited the defense with their running game, and Long comes right back with the Iowa passing game to a wide-open tight end. You got to wonder where UCLA's defense was on this play.
All right, great coverage from all angles. Harry Coyle, the venerable director, calling the shots of his 29th Rose Bowl game. Our producer, Larry Cirillo, bringing you right down on the field. And Mike Flagg has a first down for Iowa at the Bruin 16. How important it is for the Hawkeyes to score here in this first possession, down by 2 touchdowns at the half. Long to the air. Robert Smith using that speed to get to the 10-yard line, a gain of 5. Washington and Miller with a tackle.
You said stop and go. We catch Robert Smith coming all the way across. He knows he's got pressure here, but watch him just put on the brakes just briefly right there and then accelerate to the sideline. Got Chucky Miller to stop just for a second and made a nice pickup out of the play.
Hayden Fry was concerned that this turf, this winter rye, would be too slick. Boy, that's really showing the substance. I don't think we've seen a back miss a step yet today.
It's really a substantial turf. They've had it in a month. They've fed it a couple of times, and it's green and it's real. Good footing.
Harmon has a first down and goal at the 3-yard line. James Washington, number 3, the leading Bruin tackler, makes the stop.
They fed this grass better than they feed us, Dick. They put nitrogen on it early, and believe it or not, twice they came in with iron. And I said, does that feed the grass? He said, no, but it sure makes it green. So beautiful, beautiful day. A lot of places around the country this time of year, they have to paint the entire field green. Not so in Pasadena.
First and goal at the 4-yard line. Long asking the crowd to quiet. 2.5 minutes into the second half.
Look out.
Long. Incomplete to Quinn Early, number 1. Just to go back to running back Ronnie Harmon, who will join Chuck Long in that huddle. They asked Harmon what was the biggest difference, the culture shock going from New York City to Iowa City. And he said, oh, I noticed that right away at the pizza parlor. He said, I couldn't buy it by the slice. You had to buy the whole pie.
Well, they're looking for the whole pie right here. Second and goal on about the 4-yard line, and they want that touchdown. They really need that touchdown here. They got it all the way down there. They've missed some opportunities to score earlier in this game. That really got them off on the wrong foot when they were almost in this position at the other end of the field early in the ball game.
Long on the option, has a touchdown. Renew the enthusiasm of your fans.
There's no question about that, and that's one of the great advantages of having a quarterback who is cool under pressure and who can throw that football accurately. You can come back from that big deficit.
Outland's try for point out of Vlasik's hole is right down the middle, and now it's a touchdown game.
The option play. Long stretching down the sideline, sees an opening inside, and dives back inside. That's Melvin Jackson, number 59, getting the tackle, but not until it's too late.
The 1986 Rose Bowl, brought to you by Plymouth, a division of Chrysler Corporation. Plymouth, the pride is back, born in America again. by Mayflower and over 850 agents worldwide. Wherever you go, Mayflower means moving. And by NCR, who bring you a better personal computer. So Iowa takes the kickoff to open the second half, marches 76 yards in 8 plays. Chuck Long finding his targets and then getting the capper on a 4-yard option to make it 24-17. Outland looking for a good spot to set that tee.
Yeah, too much green grass down there. He's used to that carpet. That tee will set very comfortably on the carpet.
Is it me, or am I mistaken? An idea of how this game has gone? Neither team has punted the ball yet?
Neither team has yet punted the football. That'll tell you something.
They've either scored it or fumbled it or turned it over. Comes down to Henley, short at the 11. And Henley ducks through to about the 27.
Dick, you asked a question earlier about that stand-up tight end, and here he is, Flagg, standing up. He's going to block on Batchkoff right here. Watch how he drops down and gets himself into position. How quickly he's down. He turns Batchkoff inside to help make room for Chuck Long. Critical part of that play.
So you can get down and block down on that defensive end or tackle from that position. Good play by Flagg to set up Long. Now UCLA with Matt Stevens, the backup quarterback through the latter part of the year for UCLA, to the injured David Norrie. John Varese grabs Eric Ball, one of the few times they've stopped that freshman.
Dick, earlier in the week, I was out at the practice at Mount San Antonio College, and they had some cows. They call them killer cows. The cows had just gotten through a fence and had come down on the practice field. And Hayden said afterwards, he said, you know, I'm sure that they just wanted us to feel at home. So they're the cows. They brought them right down next to the practice field.
Hey, that's
said one good thing. We didn't have to milk them.
Yeah, they love the farmers there in Iowa. They pay tribute on their helmets, and Southern California is trying to make them feel at home. Stevens on the scramble. Hey, not a bad piece of running. First down at the 41-yard line for Stevens, a 13-yard carry. He was moving along. America needs farmers, A&F. It was Hayden Fry's idea, but he wanted to clear with the players themselves. I think that is a healthy tribute to the heart of this country. I grew up as a farm boy, and kudos to Iowa to recognize those people who are having their own rough times. Stevens, good play action fake, and he's going for a bomb. It's Sherrard. Just inside the 10-yard line, a half step too long was the throw by Stevens. He's got an arm.
He's got Sherrard all the way on this play. Sherrard working on Creel, Nate Creer, one-on-one down the sideline. Devon Mitchell coming over from his safety position to try and help. A little bit of a push there, but the college rule says that if that ball is not catchable, they're not going to throw the flag on you.
2nd and 10 at the Bruin 41. In the third quarter, 11 minutes remaining. UCLA leading Iowa 24-17. And they're leading because of the play of this man, number 21, Eric Ball. 215-pound freshman who has 3 touchdowns. He ran into All-American Larry Station.
Ball with touchdown runs of 30 and 40 and 6 yards in the first half. You look at the yardage, he's got 94, and on the day, Iowa's only got 68.
3rd down, 6. Stevens, first down to 83, Willie Anderson. Boy, Stevens with great protection. He wanted to go to Anderson, looked around for someone else, said, yeah, you're more open than anyone. You got it.
That's what a good running game will do for you. You fake that run, and the defense has to honor it. Stevens, as you said, Dick, had all the time in the world, and quarterback can find his target then and deliver the ball.
Anderson, who has migrated west from Paulsboro, New Jersey High School. Rick Schmidt, number 11, nickelback for Iowa, made the play defensively. First down at the Hawkeye 40. Reverse to Durrell. And he get short yardage out of bounds at the 37 or 38-yard line. That didn't fool Iowa. Terrell is from San Diego, California, as Hayden Fry, a distant relative of former President Lyndon Baines Johnson. He said that President Johnson's mother and my grandmother were sisters. He said reportedly they never really recognized me.
He's a Texan, though. Still wears the boots.
With a tuxedo, he wears the boots. Eric Ball driving inside the 35. It'll be short of the first down by 4 yards. Larry Station with another tackle for Iowa.
One of the other nice relationships on this Iowa team is that of Hayden Fry and Bill Brashear, his defensive coordinator. They've been together now 13 years. He's turned this defense over to him, said, in essence, hey, you do that part of the job, and I'll kind of look over here and concentrate on the offense. That's a nice relationship and a very productive one for both men.
Brashear, his defensive guru, and Donahue has his offensive man. There's the first down throw. Stevens to number 88, Al Wilson. The first catch today for Wilson, a senior from Carson, California. Donahue has Homer Smith.
He's got Homer Smith over on that sideline. Homer will be calling the plays and sending them down. Norm Anderson, who's the backfield coach, kind of stands in front. There he is with a UCLA football jacket on. Now he's signaling for the substitutions. UCLA uses a tremendous number of people in and out of the game.
First down, UCLA, Iowa 24. James Primus, he's a sophomore from National City, playing behind Green and Ball at that halfback position. I said they'll all be back. Green's a sophomore, Ball a freshman, Primus a sophomore, Farr's a sophomore, Greenwood a junior. So it'll be a full camp again for the Bruins, and Donahue on offense, at least running the football next year. Scrimmage by Stevens, and then giving to the fullback Greenwood for 3. Breeze and Station with a tackle.
On the Iowa sideline, there'll be 2 coaches signaling plays in, Barry Alvarez and Dan McCartney, and they will call in those plays. Well, apparently it's already gone in. Either that or that's a very subtle signal going out there.
That is a hidden signal. I know they're not giving Iowa the take sign. That's the hit sign.
They want him to hit. Better believe it.
Eric Ball. First down, UCLA at the 11-yard line. Boy, is he getting great blocking.
Larry Station right in the middle of your screen. Here he is right here. All-American linebacker jumping around. He and 37 Davis. Station getting knocked back on that particular play. Still managed to get a part of that tackle, but UCLA using that big bowling offensive line to big advantage here.
That run took Eric Ball over the 100-yard mark for the day. He's got it again for a yard pickup at the 10. 103 yards for the afternoon for Eric Ball.
Hammered up and behind the inside of that UCLA line. Mike Hartmeyer in there. McCullough on the other side. Jim McCullough, Joe Goebel, all doing a good job inside.
Eric Ball and the Bruins 10 yards away from getting the touchdown back. Iowa scoring on the first possession of the second half. 7 minutes remaining, third quarter. Option, and Stevens right into the arms of Jeff Drost, the giant tackle. All Big Ten performer for Iowa.
Virtually the same kind of play that Chuck Long scored on just a few moments ago, but that time when the quarterback turned inside, there wasn't anywhere to go.
From the 9-yard line, UCLA can make a first down without scoring a touchdown. It's 3rd and 8 at the 9. Al Wilson to the right. Sherrard to the left. It's to Sherrard. Is he in bounds? Yes, touchdown.
Stevenson, a high school All-American out of Fountain Valley, California, came into the game today to replace the #1 quarterback, Dave Norrie, and oh, how he has done that job. Beautiful pass.
And that official had his nose right on the spot. There was only a couple of blades of grass between Sherrod's toe and the sideline, just inbounds. Lee for the point after. And we still have not seen a punt in this game. With 6:25 remaining in the third quarter, UCLA 31, Iowa 17. Lights on. Fog and haze on this January 1st in Southern California. 31-17 UCLA. The kickoff by James Bray. Kevin Harmon will not run it up. Overhead, the blimp Columbia from Carson, California. That would take over 2 million footballs to fill that Goodyear blimp. I'd like to take a ride in that someday. That must be fun up there, floating high above the Rose Bowl and giving us those special shots. And what a special place this is. If you ever have a chance, and I know all those here from Iowa would agree, what a day it is. Take in the parade, the game, what a day. Maybe the best in America.
If you look at that score by quarters and see what Iowa has done to its opponents in the third and fourth quarters, if you're an Iowa fan, you begin to say, hey, we're not done yet.
And Long to the air. Gets good added protection. Oh, he's not exactly immobile himself, and it's Ronnie Harmon down the sidelines and out of bounds at the 44. Hey, that Long's an artful dodger.
What a heady play by Chuck Long. He felt the pressure, got out of the pocket, and did a little ballet dance out there. Watch him here, dropping straight back. He knows he can't stay in the pocket. Still, doesn't lose his concentration, slides out. And right here, getting pressure again from the inside. He steps up. That was Glasser, 58, trying to nail him down. Gets the ball to the #1 receiver at Iowa over the years. And boy, Ronnie Harmon doing his best to get something going here.
That's how close it was as Bo Jackson of Auburn nosed out Chuck Long in the closest ever Heisman balloting. He gives straight ahead to David Hudson, the fullback, out to about the 48-yard line, trying to keep that center of the Bruin defense honest. Jeff Glasser, 58, from Houston, Texas, a sophomore, made the tackle. Well, they said it would be high scoring, and so it has been. The 3 touchdowns would not be good enough to win it. And you have a feeling that the loser will score in the 20s or more. Boy, only 3 misses by Long. He has been everything that we had heard about. Ability, accuracy, a feel for the game. Whoops, not this time. No chance as 7. Chance Johnson shooting in from his linebacker slot.
We're going to take a peek at the quarterback's feet on this play. Now watch the way he goes back and sets up. You're not going to see the Chance Johnson coming. You see how he turned his back? I think that might have gotten him in trouble. That's a planned thing, but Chance Johnson right on top of him before he had a chance to set up. And when you can get on Long before he has a chance to set up with that quick release, you've really done something.
The 5th sack registered by UCLA today. The draw play to Harmon, that's been a big weapon all day, and he drives into UCLA territory to the 49. Won't be enough for a first down, but a big gainer. Dennis Price, number 6, the cornerback, bottom of the pile, working on an injured Hawkeye.
Checking the flexibility on that knee on the other sideline. Durrell getting his hamstring stretched out a little bit.
That was the injury, by the way, to Gaston Green, as we surmised a hamstring. They say he could return.
Well, the way Eric Ball was playing, I don't know that you want to bring him back in there.
Gifford Irvine is the deep man for UCLA, and the first punt of the day by Gary Costa-Rubla is out of bounds. A disappointing kick for him. And we have a timeout after the 31-yard punt. 4:05 left in the quarter.
This winter on NBC Sports, all the excitement of college basketball is back. January 18th, one of the game's oldest rivalries heats up when the UCLA Bruins invade South Bend to take on Digger Phelps and the Fightin' Irish of Notre Dame. College basketball, it's the stuff weekends are made of on NBC Sports.
Talk about an important safety device.
Both these teams have employed safety for their big men in particular. The linemen and linebackers required to wear pads, and Iowa has gone a step further to stabilize those pads. No, ladies, this is not a girdle for you. It's for the football players. Keeps the legs warm, and they've got Velcro on here to lock these braces into position on the knee so that they can protect them from a hit. They use both the metal and the plastic for the different players on the field. I think it's great to protect that knee joint. It wasn't made to play the game of football.
Yeah. Well, I wore the brace. Would you wear the girdle? Well, it's no laughing matter. The knee injury so terribly common in this game, and that has really protected a lot of severe, perhaps career-ending injuries. UCLA with the ball, less than 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. 31-17 Bruins. That was Mel Farr on the carry, short yardage. His dad is here, and if we have a chance sometime during the half, we'll try to locate Mel Farr Sr., teammate of Terry Donahue 20 years ago, and UCLA upset Michigan State in this game, and the battle for number 1, Penn State and Oklahoma, ranked 1 and 2 in both polls coming up after this Rose Bowl encounter. Stevens looking off the coverage and going to Tennell as tight end, short of the first down, about a 5-yard pickup.
Very close to us on the press level, the Iowa coaches, Bill Brazier, right there, the defensive coordinator, and you can tell the kind of strain and pressure on him as he is relaying code down to the sideline, passed onto the field by the two coaches there. Believe me, this Iowa defense has had its problems with a potent UCLA running attack and passing attack from Stevens here today.
Michigan State scored 31 against Iowa, and UCLA has matched that, the most given up by the Hawkeyes. Stevens on the run as a man. Overshoots him on the far sideline, Al Wilson. But Stevens was under pressure. He's a fiery guy, and one of the nice things you heard about him from Terry Donahue, he said even though he was hurt, he lost his job to David Norrie, he didn't pout about it, he didn't get his chin down, he was just as enthusiastic on the bench with his teammates as he was as a starter. And so, you know, your time comes around. First punt of the day, Ted Henderson. They had to rescue him off a mountain in the Fiesta Bowl last year. That was his claim to fame. End over end, fair catch. Bill Happel. Iowa has it at the 38-yard line. Timeout. 2 minutes and 33 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
It's a first down coming up for Stanford. 9 yards to go for the touchdown. And Stanley's in the tailback of the tee this time. Albert right up behind the center. The ball goes back to Albert. He gives it to Gallardo. Gallardo to 5, to 3, to 2, to 1. He's over. It's a touchdown for Stanford.
Now, brushing off a memory from the past, 1941, and Bill Stearns' call in such clarity. That 5-4-3-2-1. Hugh Gallardo, Norm Stanley, Frankie Albert, and that wonderful Stanford team that was victorious over Nebraska 21-13. It's Iowa trying to rally. 2 touchdowns behind UCLA, 31-17. The Hawkeyes from their 38. Long, going long. And intercepted. Dennis Price. You can't eat it in one big gulp, says Hayden. Patience.
Chuck Long has not made many bad decisions on the day. I believe he made one there. He underthrew the receiver, tried to get it to Quinn Early, number 1. There were open receivers up the field, and that's what Fry was telling his quarterback, and they have almost a father-son relationship.
So UCLA on Price's intercept starts at its 21. Stevens to throw.
Ooh, dangerously close to going all the way. The sideline saved Iowa as a catch made by Mike Sherrard, and the sidelines ended the play. He had nothing but green grass ahead.
Look at two things. First, the closeness of that ball, and then Sherrard's ability to get that right foot down just tightly inside the line. Almost a ballet step.
He learned that footwork from his mother, Sherry, who was a U.S. Olympic team member back in 1964, a hurdler. First down, ball. Look at the moves by this youngster. 50, out of bounds at the 44, and you're looking at the potential most valuable player in this Rose Bowl, freshman Eric Ball.
Well, I don't think you have to say potential the way he's got things going for him. He is just racking this defense for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And look how quickly he spots the opening there, explodes to the outside. Homer Smith, the offensive coordinator for this team, has just got to be so excited. He's up here calling those plays, and when they work like that, they make him look pretty darn good.
First down, ball again. Up the backs of his blockers, and a good play made by Jeff Drost and Jay Norvell, 45, coming up from the secondary.
We mentioned how Terry Donahue utilizes his players. A lot of players in and out of the game. One of the reasons he does that, he wants his players to be fresh in that fourth quarter. We'll look and see what this does to the fourth quarter. And obviously, Iowa's philosophy not to employ as many players on the field. There is a possibility that they may be wearing down a little bit late in the ball game.
Second down and 8. Stevens looked like his arm was hit, and he one-hopped the throw to Mike Sherrard. You know, Hayden Fry, Merlin, must be wondering about coming out here to the Rose Bowl, and the freshman. Remember 4 years ago when Iowa lost to Washington 28-0, it was a Washington freshman runner, Jacques Robinson, who gained 142 yards, was the star for the Huskies. Today, another freshman, Eric Ball.
Well, and even to look at the other side of this story, the story of the quarterback, Matt Stevens. Last year, another unlikely hero, Tim Green, was the hero of that ball game for SC.
31-17, late in the third quarter, UCLA leading Iowa. Stevens, as he was hit, short hops that one, incomplete. Trying to dump it off to James Primus, sophomore running back. So the Hawkeye defense stiffens, and apparently they'll get it back on the punt. Ted Henderson, senior from Albuquerque, New Mexico, comes in to punt for UCLA. At the Fiesta Bowl last year, he climbed a mountain near the hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Fiesta Bowl, and they had to get a police helicopter up there to rescue him. He said, but he shouldn't have been fined for being out late. He was on the premises of the hotel. And he kicks it into the end zone. Touchback, Iowa. Well, we're enjoying the action and the opportunity to bring it to you around the United States, but it doesn't stop there. Canadian television carrying it live. Tokyo and Japan live coverage. American Forces Radio, Italian television is live, and you see all the other countries. Suomalainen's watching there in Helsinki, in fact. Korea, 1988, John Lee. Well, we should take him with us with our Olympic crew. I wouldn't mind having him as a sidekick and an interpreter. Switzerland, Turkey, and of course, we salute and Happy New Year, all the men and women around the world representing the United States.
I wonder if he knows where to eat over there.
Oh, that's right. Do we have time? David Hudson plowing for 6 or 7. Ken Norton made the tackle.
Dick, probably the players on the field who most appreciate this Rose Bowl and this experience are the seniors out there. A couple of reasons. This is the last game for most all of them in football. It's the one that they would like to finish properly. Right now, the UCLA seniors, and there aren't many of them, very excited about that. This heavily senior-dominated Iowa team right now doing some serious thinking about what they're going to remember about their football experience.
And Chuck Long and company hoping to do something about it, but Ronnie Harmon, another senior, has to eat it for a loss. And in fact, Long said the biggest reason why he did not
go into the National Football League draft last year, why he stayed at Iowa, was that the Rose Bowl meant that much to him. He said he started his career in the Rose Bowl as a freshman, had a couple of carries, gained 11 yards. He said, I wanted to finish in the Rose Bowl, and I felt that we had the kind of offense, the kind of team that could win it. But right now, at the end of the third quarter, the final seconds tick away, Iowa needs 14 to tie. The score after 3, 31-17, UCLA. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
From all of us at UCLA, Happy New Year!
The basso profundo approach to a Happy New Year.
Well, so far, this opening day of the new year has been a very good one for UCLA.
UCLA, and it's mirrors the way the Rose Bowl has gone. They lost their first 5. Now they're trying to win 5 in a row. Big Ten dominating early, and the Big Ten can't seem to buy a win here of late. Long looking for the big play. He's got it to Happel at the 44-yard line, and a first down. Craig Rutledge made the tackle, and Long a good throw while being hit.
Under pressure, knew he was going to take the shot. From the left side of your screen, you'll see the pressure arriving, and Long will not lose his concentration. That's Terry Toomey, but he gets the ball to one of his favorites, one of those sticky fingers, Huppel, and he just nails that in his hands, takes the shots. He's got the first down.
Bill Happel Sr. caught a touchdown pass here in the 57 game from Kenny Flame, a great Hawkeye quarterback. Ooh. He was running out of room and time. They're going to call him for intentionally downing the ball in the grasp. Frank Batchkoff had him.
Costly penalty. Mark that, I think, all the way back from the spot of the foul.
That's where he would have gone down, says referee Tom Quinn. That's a loss of down penalty. It's about as tough a call as you can get in the college game.
Here's one of the defensive coordinators. UCLA employs 2 defensive coordinators, Tom Hayes and Bob Field. Bob Field up in the press box. Tom Hayes down on the field. He's the one in the white sweater there who sends in the calls. He handles the front 7, basically, and Bob Field handles the defensive backs. You'd think that Bob Field would be on the field instead of Tom Hayes. There you see the call going in.
Wait a minute, is this an Abbott and Costello routine?
No. There you see the calls. He's making the signals for the defense. They apparently are able to work very comfortably together, agreeing on what they want to do defensively, sending in the calls. We'd mentioned that Bill Schneider, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, or the not Seahawks, the Hawkeyes. You get those Hawks in there somehow.
Well, a tough penalty from the spot where Long was going down. They marked off 5 yards plus loss of down, so he's facing 2nd and 31 and looking for help. The Granddaddy, the 1986 Rose Bowl, brought to you by Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. For drivers who demand quality, the name is Nissan. By Michelob Light, super premium taste in a less filling beer. Who says you can't have it all? And by NCR, who'll bring you a better personal computer. Tom Quinn getting a little repair work on that microphone, and as Chuck Long comes back on the field, it's 2nd and 31 for Iowa at the Hawkeye 24.
Now, plenty of time yet in this football game. They're 2 touchdowns down. They do have some fine speed receivers. Chuck Long can throw the football. They still have the ability to run. UCLA has done a fine job defensively, but most of the problem for this Hawkeye team has come on the turnover, those costly fumbles. They still have to believe that if they can get down, get a touchdown, get that ball back, they've got plenty of time to put themselves back into a tie, or even with a 2-point conversion to go ahead.
2nd and long, the fake draw, which they've used so often. Then down the middle, almost intercepted by Steve Jarecki. Bill Happel was open 10 yards downfield, but Jarecki 6'2" and 228, leaping high to bat it down.
Good play by Jarecki. That ball, I believe, would have been completed. Apple had plenty of movement in there. He's laid up in the middle. Look at Jarecki just go up and put a big old paw up there on it. He almost got his other hand on it to intercept it.
Now 3rd and 30 or 31. There's Jarecki. Napa area, just outside San Francisco, where Californians are so proud of their wine production. Drawn offside. We'll soon learn.
That's what they're saying. Yep. Batchka, number 92, moved, claimed that Mike Haight, number 79, was up.
False snap. On the snapper, false snap.
Well, he's saying it was on the center. Let's see if we can see it here. Now, I believe it had happened just prior to that. It looked to me like that center did rock that football a little bit. I think it happened right as we turned the camera on him.
So 3rd and a long 35 for Long.
False snap, offense.
Ronnie Harmon has been his favorite target. 9 catches for 100 yards today. A couple of those little shovel passes, of course, figuring in. That's Harmon in motion. They throw to him.
Double pass.
No one downfield except a couple UCLA players. James Washington was one of them.
He doesn't have any choice. I think he's coached. If the play is not there, throw it away and get rid of it. He put that one so far out of bounds that none of his teammates on the sideline could catch it. Did not fool this UCLA defense. And one of the things that Iowa is famous for is what Hayden Fry calls his exotics. This is one of them, the double pass. Well, do you think that's far enough out of bounds?
Well, that is out of bounds, even on the 14th over at the local country club.
Now here's that strange punting formation that we've seen Iowa use occasionally. Kind of a scrubby punt. Costabala, I'll get it, Dick.
Only 10 yards back.
He kicks it from a short position, and they bring everybody in tight.
Ooh. It was a dangerous fair catch and effort by Gifford Irvin. And we have a timeout with 14 and a half minutes left.
This is Don Criqui in Miami. Tonight it's the Orange Bowl on NBC Sports. As for the 4th time in 5 years, the national championship of college football is directly tied to the outcome. Penn State and Oklahoma, the top 2 teams in the land. Coming up, now here again is Dick Enberg.
All right, Don. Boy, they'll be teeming with excitement in that Orange Bowl.
Let's take a quick look at that interesting punt formation. Look how tight that offensive line is. 9 yards for the punter, and then watch the man go in motion, and then they'll kick to that side on the outside with a short kick. Quinn Early getting out as a sprint man to the outside, and they kick it off to that right side.
But a short punt, about 38 yards, so UCLA takes over at its 46. And Eric Ball, what a day for this freshman, all the way to the 40-yard line. He is over 140 yards rushing today. Devon Mitchell made the tackle.
What's he going to do for an encore? He's already had one incredible day down at San Diego State. We mentioned that with 4 touchdowns there. But he has just hammered and hammered here today. Just the dominant running back by far on the field.
He's averaged over 10 yards a carry. Stevens a fake and then a roll. Throws to Durrell coming back, and he pays for it. Gear in on the tackle.
We mentioned this, the numbers on the starters who are seniors for Iowa. Look at that difference. The Hawkeyes will graduate 17 of their starters this year. They have 3 junior starters and only 2 sophomores, but look at the breakdown for UCLA. And they also have a very strong freshman class. It's a little bit different philosophy. I think the Hawkeyes, Hayden Fry, they want to use people. They want people in the system for a couple of years before they give them a chance to play.
Second down and a couple. Ball on his way to tie the Rose Bowl record. 4 touchdowns for Eric Ball. Cunninghams were 1-1, 2-1.
A total of 5 yards. Eric Ball has rushed for 174 yards today. 4 touchdowns for the freshman from Ypsilanti, Michigan. John Lee, another point on his Rose Bowl record, kicking in his 3rd Rose Bowl for UCLA. Timeout, 13:25 remaining. The Orange Bowl is coming up from Miami. The national championship on the line. Penn State against Oklahoma. A game that also features the most spectacular halftime show in college football. Now back to Pasadena, where UCLA is having a ball. Freshman Eric has scored 4 times. And the Bruins lead Iowa 38-17. And now it would be a miracle effort by Chuck Long and the Hawkeyes to rally. But there is time, 13:25 left. Flag down. It appeared UCLA was offside. One of those designated hitters really got a running start. So they're going to bring this one back as Kevin Harmon stopped at the 20-yard line. Let's go back and appreciate the talents of the freshman UCLA runner again.
We are offside on the kicking team.
From ground level, you get a feeling for the power and also for the amazing speed. They call him what? The slow one?
The slow one up behind Primus and Gaston Green.
I don't want to have to chase the fast ones, I'll tell you that.
Officially now, 173 yards for Ball, whose touchdown runs impressively 30 yards, 40 yards, 6 yards, and 32 yards. That's Dennis Price, who has had shoulder problems all season long. Had a dislocation, knocked him out of a few games during the course of the year.
On top of that, he's had a couple of other long runs, one of 30 yards I know, that was a non-scoring run. So he has really been the home run hitter today for this Bruin offense.
Well, we're going to see some outstanding athletes in that one. Unbeaten Penn State. We don't get any respect. Nittany Lions against the Oklahoma Sooners. And with Iowa losing here, there's the hero of the day for UCLA, Eric Ball. It would appear that there is no question that that game to be played for the championship national rankings.
There are the runs, Dick.
I think by error that graphic jumped in there saying Rose Bowl MVP, but who are you going to pick if it's not Eric Ball? Mike Flagg, the tight end, after UCLA penalized 5 yards. Steve Turecki doing a big job, the linebacker on special teams today.
Right at the end of that play, you get a feeling for the coaching and the alertness of this UCLA team. Jurecki not only making the tackle, but grabbing at that football, slapping at that football, trying to strip it away. And if you were with us from the start of this game, you know that UCLA has been able to do that very effectively all day long, getting 4 turnovers from Ronnie Harmon in the first half.
Now Chuck Long comes on the field with his team down 38-17. The Big Ten, starting back in 1947, the agreement between the Pac-10 and Big Ten. The Big Ten started out, won 12-13. People said, hey, maybe it's a mistake. The West Coast football isn't strong enough to stay with a powerful Big Ten. Then it kind of evened out, and now it's been all West Coast the last 2 decades. Hudson to the 33-yard line. And that'll be close to a first down, a 9-yard pickup. If UCLA does win today, it will be 17 trips out here for the Big Ten, home with only 2 wins in those 17.
17-4-2 at home, and of course that includes including these Rose Bowl games as home game wins. There's no question, we talked about it in the opening of this game, it is an advantage for UCLA to be here in this stadium.
I want you to clarify that point. It's more than just the obvious. As Long hits Happel, and Bill Happel struggling forward to the 48-yard line, and a penalty is going to be called. He was struggling, and apparently they felt that the hit was late.
Isolated on Happel.
Dead ball foul. Personal.
Apparently the whistle had blown, even though Happel at this point was struggling forward. We can't hear the whistle, so if it's whistled dead here, then the hit by Washington is a dead ball foul.
James Washington, number 3, the last man in on the stack. He's shaking his head. He doesn't believe it. But Dick, you started to talk about the home field. Not only is it the comfort of knowing the turf, and every turf has its own characteristics.
Personal defense. First down.
But it's also the advantage of being at home. I mean, they're staying in their own beds. They know where the locker rooms are. They just don't have all of the hassle that goes with the travel and with the staying in the hotel, the disorientation of a new practice facility and so forth.
Long stepping forward, just did elude a sack by Jarecki and picks up a couple of yards down to the UCLA 37-yard line. Well, from high above the Rose Bowl in the Goodyear Blimp, Columbia, 60 years now involved in bowl coverage. That has become a rather famous shot. With or without the bar. Happy New Year. The blimp is on its way back to its resting spot along the coast. Ronnie Harmon. Short yardage.
Dick, you look across the field at Terry Donahue and his team and his staff, and I gotta wonder if maybe a young Terry Donahue didn't have a dream when he wrote to Pepper Rogers back at Kansas University and said, "You're 23 years old." He said, "Look, I want to coach. I want to do it so bad that I'll come back and coach for nothing." Pepper said, "You want to? Come on." And he went back there and worked that first year for nothing. And believe me, started to set a standard and gain a kind of attention and the knowledge that has allowed him to be such a successful coach.
Long to Harmon. Oh, what a painfully long afternoon for a great player, Ronnie Harmon. 4 fumbles lost in the first half and a sure touchdown dropped here in the fourth quarter.
Let's see if that ball touched any hands. It obviously was thrown well. A perfect strike by Long, who's waiting. Watch how quickly, when he decides to throw, how quickly that ball is in the air. I don't believe it touched any hands.
Like to make an excuse for Harmon, but that ball was right there.
I think he is going to have nightmares tonight. I'll tell you, as a player, you remember the mistakes you made, and when you've made the kind of obvious and in the open errors that Harmon has made today, you don't sleep well.
This would be a 51-yard field goal if Houghton connects. Oh, look at the length on that one. Is it good? Hits the crossbar and bounces through. Houghton, 51 yards. That's only 1 yard shy of the Rose Bowl record. Rich Spangler kicking 152. Timeout. It's 38-20 UCLA. Rob Houghton, just enough leg. And they're now saying 52 yards officially, tying the Rose Bowl record. Rich Spangler of Ohio State last year.
Fry is saying we finally got something, and there's the onside kick.
And UCLA recovering easily. Well covered by number 48, Doug Klein, a freshman from Arvada, Colorado.
Well, it has been a long, long day for these Hawkeyes. This is not what they had in mind. And Dick, I got to wonder, Hayden Fry asked for a sacrifice from his players. He said, we're not going to go to Disneyland. We're going to concentrate on football. I think if they had won this game, that would have set a pattern. What does he tell them now? They've concentrated. They did their work. They still have lost the football game.
Meanwhile, Stevens to his tight end, Tunnell. Inside the 35 to the 30 goes Tunnell. Well, I know one group of people that may be a bit relieved, and that is those that are involved in the committees. There's so many committees with the Tournament of Roses, and they do such an outstanding job. But what does the entertainment committee for the visiting team do when they want to stay in a hotel? And as Hayden Fry even said, kiddingly, play chess and little checkers and whatever. It's a tough one.
It is hard.
And it's not that he was going to deny them any fun. They have 2 days after the game, but boy, will it be fun now. UCLA on the march again with 10 minutes and 20 seconds left. That's Mel Farr
He is a sophomore. His younger brother Mike is a UCLA freshman wide receiver, so Mel Farr Sr. has sent his lads west.
We told you earlier about the stemming of the Iowa defense. Let's turn this loose. Now watch how steady they are. They have changed their philosophy, and when they change, it's usually because they're in trouble. Now they've not been effective with all the jumping around. In fact, UCLA has used that to their advantage, and Bill Brazier has just said, hey, we'll change. We'll try to get into the flow of this game.
Eric Ball is in the tail of that eye. He's off the blocks in a hurry, and he's so strong. Those powerful legs driving forward. Jeff Drost throwing his 286 pounds on him at the 22-yard line, where it will be 3rd down and 2. There's David Norrie. Will he get at least a bow in this game, get a chance to come on and work a play?
Talk about tragedy. The story goes that Norrie was out kicking with John Lee when he strained that muscle in his leg, and he told me, he said, I played 4 sports since I was 7 years old. I have never torn a muscle or strained a muscle. He has got to be heartbroken.
Here comes Ball. He's already tied a record for touchdowns with 4. That'll be good enough for a 1st down as he goes over the 180-yard mark today. John Vrees with another tackle. We've called his name often today, number 57 for Iowa from Forest City.
The one thing I think, Dick, that would keep David Norrie from feeling even worse is the fact that his substitute and his friend, Matt Stevens, has played so well today and that his team is winning. That softens a lot of blows. Another thing we might think about is what changing of the quarterback did to the emotional level and the confidence level of this Iowa team.
Eric Ball again into a crowd, out of the crowd. Boy, that has separated him all afternoon. He must be claustrophobic. He doesn't like it in there with all those other people. He seems to find his way into the clear, away from humanity rather cleverly. That's the most yards rushing. We talked about that earlier. Charles White, our first game, Erlen and myself, back in '80 when White, the Heisman Award winner, he had, 71 yards of the final drive of over 80 and scored the winning touchdown. Eric Ball with 188 today.
There's one of those braces on the big man on the line of scrimmage. Wish I'd had some of those when I was playing, I'll tell you that.
Wilson in motion, 1st down UCLA at the Iowa 11. And this is far to the 4. They asked Terry Donahue, I said, compare Mel Farr Jr. with his dad. He said, well, he didn't have the speed and quickness of his father. He's bigger and stronger. He said, he made a nice comment. He said, but like his dad, he carries his pads well. He said, doesn't matter whether he's in shorts or in all those pads, doesn't change. He's the same player. Some players don't carry the extra weight as well.
He is an explosive fullback, and he has been a very valuable performer for them all year long.
1st and goal from the 4. Will Ball set a record? Here's his chance. And Iowa denies at the 2.
This crowd suddenly very quiet. Iowa fans without a great deal to cheer about it. On the far side, UCLA fans enjoying it, but enjoying it almost in silence.
38-20, the Bruins lead. Their top scoring game of the year was a 41-0 win over Oregon State prior to their disappointing finale when USC upset them 17-13. At this moment, Eric Ball with 190 yards. And Eric Ball looking for a tying touchdown. Already has 4 touchdowns, looking for 5, a Rose Bowl record. It appears UCLA wants him to get it, and there is Rose Bowl history or not. No, at the half-yard line, they mark him out of bounds. I think that the folks down on the sidelines, or at least Stevens, is alert to the fact that Ball is on the doorstep of something special, and they want him to get that record.
I think they are too. Homer Smith making the calls and sending them down through Terry Donahue, and I think they know what's going on. This game very comfortable for them. I think they'd like to put something in their record book as well as a victory.
Right on the goal line, a foot away. Watch 21 Ball. Oops, Stevens takes the sneak, and he doesn't get in. And now they It's a touchdown, UCLA. Matt Stevens. Stevens not quite sure himself. Let's see to whom he goes. Let's follow Stevens. Tonight's story, he's paid his dues. He's rooted for David Norrie most of the year. That's third string quarterback Brendan McCracken, number 12. And there is partner and quarterback David Norrie. John Lee. David Clinton holding. And UCLA with its highest point total of the year. Iowa giving up more points than it allowed by 10 all season long. And the question mark remains over the power of the Big Ten Conference. Year after year they come out to the West Coast as favorites and go home well beaten.
Here's that last play. Stevens just burrowing like a little chipmunk. Just got in there amongst those big guys and wiggled his shoulders and stuck that football over the goal line. I'll tell you this, Terry Donahue is going to be a tough act to follow. This will be the 4th New Year's Day victory that he has put together back-to-back.
2 Rose Bowls, a Fiesta, another Rose.
Another Rose Bowl.
And a young team that is going to return. And he said, man, I've got a wonderful opener next year just to open on the road at Oklahoma.
But you know, they only had 4 home games this year. They overcame that and overcame some serious injuries to be here for this game today.
Bray, a busy man, will kick off again. Harmon out to the 15 and twist down at the 18-yard line. So much of the drama of this one is gone. It appears UCLA with a win, and they're getting ready in Miami.
Thank you, Dick. The Orange Bowl rocking already, awaiting the kickoff of this game for the national championship. Number 1 Penn State and number 2 Oklahoma. Trump, it's interesting the matchup. Barry Switzer calls his offense high power, high risk, and the Penn State tacklers, impact people, are going for the ball.
Well, the Nittany Lions like to get that ball, give a short field for their offense. We'll see a great freshman tonight, Jamel Holloway of the Oklahoma Sooners.
We'll be back with the Orange Bowl. Now back to Dick and Merlin at the Rose Bowl.
All right, Don Crickey, Bob Trumpy will look forward to your call. Chuck Long underneath to Harmon to the 19-yard line. Going back to that point about Big Ten teams being favored and now apparently losing again in Pasadena, maybe the point should be switched the other side. Maybe the West Coast teams have been underrated.
I think that this particular game today is an example of that. UCLA's team, one of those teams that could have had, as you mentioned at the top of the show, an undefeated season, and I think they were kind of sneaking up here in this ball game today.
Long down the middle, and that is the first catch of the day for Scott Helverson. There's Eric Ball. So close, within a foot of scoring a record 5th touchdown. Matt Stevens took the steak right out of his mouth there and snuck it in from 1 yard out. 191 yards for that freshman today. What a way to start a year.
As a freshman, he's got a long ways to go.
Long, good fake, throws to the tight end flag, and a first down at the UCLA 46. 5 minutes and 34 seconds left. UCLA 45, Iowa 20.
You've got to feel a heavy cloud just hanging over that Iowa sideline. Their incredible disappointment at the game they played out here against Washington, a 28-0 loss, feeling that they had so much more that they could bring to this game, and indeed they did. But it's been a sad day for them nevertheless.
Harmon, and he's in the grasp of Ken Norton Jr. The dad is here, Ken Sr., the heavyweight champion. He said, I don't want my son to box. He got himself an education, an outstanding high school athlete at Westchester High School in Southern California.
You know, we talked about nostalgia. I started playing football in shoes like that, those high tops. Everybody started wearing the low cuts for a long time. Now they've gone back full circle to the protection of those good old high tops. I love it.
You still wear them with your tuxedo. Boy, and I'm talking to a man voted by Football News as one of the 10 best sports personalities of the country.
No, best dressed.
Oh, best dressed.
People in football.
In football.
Yep.
Is that when you wear that flannel shirt with a bow tie? Does that get it for you, or what?
Dick, it's not the clothes. It's the way you wear them.
That's true. I don't mean to even make jest of your attire. You are a bon vivant. And it kills me. The fact that you made the top 10.
You may get on it yet.
I don't want to. 4 minutes and 51 seconds left. Long would like to at least get some window dressing. That's Robert Smith. Inbounds. That'll stop the clock while they move the chains up on the first down. 18 yards on the play. And then it'll start again as soon as they're set. Price and Taylor in on the tackle. Harmon has caught 11 passes. That's a career high for him. And of course, the all-time Iowa receiver Kevin Harmon is in now, number 28. Smith again, hit hard. Chucky Miller. Miller at one corner and Dennis Price at the other, both from Long Beach Poly High School teammates. Eric Ball, Chance Johnson, a couple of freshmen. Wouldn't you like to be able to eavesdrop on that conversation?
My. It's, looking over at UCLA, they're just waiting to explode, too.
Long underneath. And James Washington following in the tradition at that position. Kenny Easley and then Don Rogers, and now Washington, another brilliant player at that safety spot. Kevin Harmon took the punishment.
Here's what we were talking about earlier when we mentioned that there's a kind of a casual off the back foot throwing style for Long. Watch him here. He just unloads that football, really doesn't follow through to the front foot, but has such a strong arm and such a powerful wrist action that he overcomes that stride.
That's Kevin Harmon for a first down at the 11-yard line.
Long's numbers on the day, and we'll get them for you, have to be tremendous.
We're going to update them for you right now. 28 for 36. Joe Costanza, our statistician, 308 yards. 1 intercept, no touchdowns.
Well, the only bad news is that last one. They have not been able to get that ball into the end zone.
Not all his fault, though.
No.
Here's a chance, and Bill Happel, touchdown.
Yeah, there it is.
So father and son can share the same Rose Bowl memory, both with a touchdown. Bill Sr. in a victory here in 1957.
Here's Happel coming all the way across, ducking to the outside. One-on-one coverage, Dennis Price. But that ball perfectly thrown, and he got 1 foot down. That's all he needed.
Yeah, that'll have them warmed up a bit in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 50 catches on the year for Happel. They're going to go for a 2-point play. To Helverson, incomplete. Chucky Miller on the coverage, and a flag is down. And while they sort that out, let's go to the Orange Bowl in Miami and Don Criqui.
Thank you, Dick. Big numbers at the Rose Bowl. We're waiting to see what will happen in this battle for the national championship at the Orange Bowl. Number 1 Penn State and number 2 Oklahoma. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy. Both these teams like to run the ball. Barry Switzer, Trump, says he'd like to see his team pass in pre-game warm-ups.
Yeah,
they're going to run the ball when they start to play, but Joe Paterno might have to have a throwing
Well,
team.
I'll tell you what, though. I'd like to see Penn State give it to their big fullback, Smith and Manoa, really bang it at that Oklahoma defense.
Now let's go back to Dick and Merlin at the Rose Bowl.
Now trying to hurry this one along to get to you in Miami. UCLA penalized half the distance to the goal. It's Iowa with a second chance at a 2-point play. And indeed, this a high-scoring game. Roughing the passer was the call against Long, who is on his way to the Japan Bowl after this one, where Hayden Fry will coach a team He'll take along Larry Station, Ronnie Harmon, and Bill Happel to play for him. East-West Shrine game, Scott Halverson will play there. And it's Kevin Harmon, younger brother of Ronnie, who picks up 2 in the Rose Bowl. That brings the score to 45-28.
Be a couple of UCLA players over at that Japan Bowl. John Lee will be over there, and Dave Norrie and Mike Whalen. The Hula Bowl is going to see Tommy Taylor and Mike Sherrard, and in the East-West game, Mike Hartmeyer. So both of these teams well represented on the postseason classics, and I tell you, it's good for some of those Iowa players in particular. This game is not going to wear well.
Bill Happel and his father, he now has completed the cycle, and he was thinking about it before the game.
I never really dreamed I'd get a chance to play in the Rose Bowl, knowing that my father played in the Rose Bowl, and it's quite a thrill for me to be playing in it and ending my career here. And I've been told from other people, my dad never really talked about it a lot, but that my dad scored a touchdown, and if I could do that, that'd be a great way to end it.
Well, part of it works. He did get his touchdown, although an apparent defeat. Here's the onside kick, and again well covered by UCLA. The 24, Marcus Turner on the spot for the Bruins. By the way, Happel's catch was his 8th touchdown catch of the year. That's a new Iowa record. Well, it would appear that UCLA was such a young team. Terry Donahue has something really powerful going out in Westwood. He in 10 years has developed a solid program that would have to rate in the top 10 to 20 in the country. Eric Ball. The kid isn't through yet, apparently. He's to the 34-yard line. He's close to 200 yards for the day. Dan Worth and Ken Sims with a tackle. Well, let's see how our friends from Tokyo are covering this Rose Bowl. It's always kind of fun to eavesdrop on them. There they are, located just above us here at the Rose Bowl. Let's hear their call on this first down play.
ご覧のようにしっかりとくれました。
まあちょっとローズボール記録にはですね、難しいかと思うんですけどね。
さあ今度ボールオンは敵陣の34ヤードまで来ています。もう一回ボールがこれも出ました。しかしこれアイワのディフェンスどうなっちゃったんでしょうか。
これはもうどうしようもない、もうズタズタになりましたね。
そうですね、本当に。
本当に組み立てようがないんですね。
Yeah, but can they do the telestrator?
Well, I heard him say great acceleration. I knew that.
17 more yards for Ball. He has 219 unofficially for the afternoon. One of the great rushing days in Rose Bowl history, recorded by a freshman. There's Ball at 219, they say now. 247 the record by Charles White. Ball with 4 touchdowns, tying Sam Cunningham's modern-day record. Let's give it to someone else, says quarterback Matt Stevens. It's Marcus Greenwood, who started his collegiate career. No, that isn't. That's Danny Thompson, number 15. Thompson, a freshman from Huntington Beach High School, Southern California. Now both coaches using some reserves.
There comes David Norrie. He's going to get his chance. He's going to have his opportunity to at least get into this ball game.
Stevens getting a big standing ovation from the UCLA partisans across the way. And there's Norrie from Portland, Oregon. Went to Jesuit High School. Battled for 4 years on the bench and earned the starting role as a 5th-year senior. Only to miss the start in the Rose Bowl. He gives to the right man. He's been watching. Eric Ball again. Running at will through the Iowa defense. Dave Haight, the younger brother of all conference tackle. Mike Haight on offense. Dave Haight 64 on defense.
Both
men
teams.
and women who are responsible for our coverage at the Rose Bowl today. Thank you all. First and goal for the Bruins at the 6-yard line. Greg Francois, or is that James Primus? It's Francois, number 33. All of those who have spent their New Year's holiday preparing for our telecast from Pasadena. Fans who are alert to Ball's heroics today. The freshman trying to get him back in the game, but I believe that's going to be all for him. He undoubtedly will be the most valuable player. Norrie trying to get the Bruins into the 50s. With just 17 seconds left, and apparently that will be it. They'll let the final seconds tick away. Another disappointing afternoon for the Big Ten and for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And the West Coast Pacific 10, UCLA, celebrate a very impressive win, 45-28.
An outstanding performance by the Bruins, who really came out of that underdog position to hand Hayden Fry and his favorite Hawkeyes a black eye.
So the 70s belong to the Pacific 10, and so it remains in the 1980s. UCLA 45, Iowa 28. Stay tuned for the Orange Bowl after these messages from your local station.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.